Elena Voss is on the run in her evening gown when she realizes death could come from the very man she once loved. Derek Hale, her obsessive ex-boyfriend, has been stalking her for 6 months, and tonight, amidst a lavish Chicago party, he won't let her escape. But in a moment of desperation, Elena kisses a stranger, a decision that will drag her into a world 1,000 times more dangerous. This is a story of survival, power, and the price of freedom. Watch until the end, and comment with the city you're watching in to let me know how far this story has progressed. The ballroom glittered like broken glass, chandeliers throwing fractured light across marble floors, champagne flutes clinking in rhythm with orchestral strings that sounded too perfect, too controlled. Elena Voss stood near a column, her fingers wrapped around a glass of wine she hadn't touched in 20 minutes. The dress she wore, midnight blue silk that clung to her shoulders and fell in careful folds to her ankles, felt like a costume. Everything here felt like a costume. The laughter was too bright, the smiles too wide. She scanned the crowd again, pulse ticking faster. He was here. She knew it. Derek Hale had a way of appearing in places he shouldn't be, of slipping past security and social barriers like smoke through a crack. For 6 months he'd been doing this, showing up at her gym, her favorite coffee shop, the parking garage beneath her office building. Always watching, always smiling that slow, patient smile that said he had all the time in the world. The restraining order hadn't stopped him. The police reports hadn't stopped him. Nothing stopped Derek when he decided he wanted something, and he wanted her back. Elena set the wine glass down on a passing waiter's tray and moved deeper into the crowd. The gala was a fundraiser for some arts initiative she couldn't remember the name of, held in one of those old Chicago hotels that smelled like money and history. She'd only come because her colleague had begged her, claimed it would be good for her to get out, to stop hiding. But hiding had kept her alive this long. Hiding had become her religion. She turned a corner near the string quartet and saw him. Derek stood by the bar, tall and sharp in a charcoal suit that probably cost more than her rent. His hair was combed back, his jaw clean-shaven, his eyes locked directly on her. He didn't wave, didn't move, just stared with that awful calm, the kind that made her stomach turn to ice. Elena spun and walked faster, heels clicking against marble. Her breath came short. The room suddenly felt smaller, the walls pressing in. She needed an exit. She needed air. She needed to disappear before he reached her, before he could touch her arm and whisper something soft and threatening in that voice that used to comfort her and now made her skin crawl. The crowd thickened near the center of the ballroom. She pushed through, murmuring apologies, not looking back. Her pulse hammered in her ears. She could feel him following. He was always following. She turned left, then right, weaving between clusters of well-dressed strangers who barely noticed her panic. The orchestra swelled into something dramatic, violins climbing higher. Ahead, she saw another hallway, darker, quieter. Maybe she could slip out through a service door, call a cab, disappear into the city before Derek caught up. But then a hand closed around her wrist. Elena gasped and yanked free, spinning to face whoever had grabbed her, and stopped. The man standing in front of her wasn't Derek. He was taller, broader across the shoulders, with dark hair that fell just past his collar and eyes the color of smoke. He wore a black suit that fit like it had been tailored specifically for him, and he was looking at her with an expression that wasn't surprise or concern. It was something else, something colder. "You're running," he said. His voice was low, almost casual. Elena's breath stuttered. What?" "From someone." He tilted his head slightly, studying her face. "Who?" She should have walked away, should have told him to mind his own business. But Derek was somewhere behind her, closing the distance, and this stranger was blocking the hallway like a wall, and Elena's thoughts were moving too fast to keep up with. So she made a choice. She stepped forward, grabbed the front of the stranger's jacket, and kissed him. It wasn't soft. It wasn't romantic. It was desperate and clumsy and tasted like adrenaline. She pressed her mouth against his, felt him go still for half a second. Then his hand came up to the small of her back, steadying her. He didn't pull away, didn't flinch. He just stood there, solid and unmoving, and let her pretend. When she finally broke the kiss and stepped back, her heart was still racing. The stranger's expression hadn't changed. He was still watching her with that same cold, measured look. "Better?" he asked. Elena turned her head and saw Derek standing 10 feet away, frozen mid-step. His face had gone pale. His jaw was tight. His eyes flicked between her and the stranger, and for the first time in 6 months, Derek looked uncertain. The stranger shifted his weight, angling his body slightly between Elena and Derek. He didn't say anything, didn't need to. The silence was enough. Derek's mouth twitched. He took a step forward, then stopped. His gaze locked on the stranger, and something changed in his expression. Something Elena couldn't name. Fear, maybe, or recognition. "Elena," Derek said quietly. His voice was calm, controlled, but there was an edge beneath it. "We need to talk." "No," Elena said. Her voice came out stronger than she expected. "We don't." Derek's eyes narrowed. "You're making a mistake." The stranger spoke before Elena could. "She's made her choice. Walk away." Derek stared at him for a long moment. The orchestra kept playing. The crowd kept laughing. The whole world kept spinning, oblivious. Then Derek smiled, tight and bitter, and turned. He didn't run, didn't storm off. He just walked back into the crowd, slow and deliberate, and disappeared. Elena exhaled hard, her knees suddenly weak. She leaned against the wall, pressing one hand to her chest. Her heart was still hammering. The stranger watched Derek leave, then turned back to her. "You're in trouble," he said. It wasn't a question. Elena nodded, not trusting her voice. "Boyfriend?" he asked. "Ex." "Doesn't look like he got the memo." She let out a shaky laugh. "He doesn't care about memos or restraining orders or anything else." The stranger's gaze sharpened. "How long?" "6 months, since I left him." "And he's still following you?" "Every day." She swallowed. "I can't. I don't know how to make him stop." The stranger was quiet for a moment, his expression unreadable. Then he reached into his jacket and pulled out a card, simple, black, with a phone number printed in silver. "Call me if he comes back," he said. Elena took the card, her fingers trembling. "Who are you?" "Lucian Moretti." The name didn't mean anything to her. She looked down at the card, then back up at him. "Why are you helping me?" Lucian's mouth curved slightly, but it wasn't quite a smile. "I'm not sure yet." Then he turned and walked away, disappearing into the crowd as smoothly as he'd appeared. Elena stood there for a long time, holding the card, trying to steady her breathing. The orchestra finished its piece. The applause was polite and distant. She looked down at the number on the card, then slipped it into her clutch and headed for the exit. She didn't see Derek again that night, but she knew he was still watching. Elena didn't sleep. She sat on the edge of her bed in her studio apartment, staring at the window. The blinds were drawn, the door double-locked, the chain latched. She'd moved 3 times in the past 6 months, and Derek had found her every time. She didn't know how. Didn't know if he was bribing landlords or hacking her email or just following her home from work. It didn't matter. The result was always the same. At 3 a.m., her phone buzzed. She grabbed it off the nightstand, heart lurching, then froze when she saw the message. "Unknown number. You looked beautiful tonight." Elena's stomach twisted. She stared at the screen, her hands shaking. Another message came through. "Unknown number. We should talk. I can explain everything." She deleted both messages and blocked the number. It wouldn't matter. Derek had dozens of burner phones. He'd just use another one tomorrow. She set the phone down and pulled her knees to her chest, wrapping her arms around them. The apartment was silent except for the hum of the refrigerator and the distant wail of a siren somewhere in the city. She closed her eyes and tried to breathe. The card was still in her clutch, sitting on the kitchen counter. Lucian Moretti. She didn't know who he was or why he'd helped her. Didn't know if calling him would make things better or worse. But for the first time in 6 months, someone had stood between her and Derek. Someone had made Derek hesitate. That had to mean something. The next morning, Elena called in sick to work. She couldn't focus, couldn't think. She sat at her kitchen table with a cup of coffee going cold in front of her and stared at the card. At 10 a.m., she dialed the number. It rang twice before a voice answered. "Moretti." Elena's throat went dry. This is Elena, from last night." There was a pause. "I remember." She stopped, not sure what to say. "He texted me, last night, multiple times." "What did he say?" She read the messages out loud, her voice shaking. When she finished, there was silence on the other end. Then Lucian said, "Where are you?" "Home." "Give me the address." Elena hesitated. She didn't know this man, didn't know what he wanted or why he was helping her. But Derek was out there, and she was out of options. She gave him the address. "Stay inside," Lucian said. "Don't open the door for anyone but me." "How will I know it's you?" "You'll know." He hung up. Elena set the phone down and wrapped her arms around herself. She felt like she was standing on the edge of a cliff, about to jump. Lucian arrived an hour later. There was a knock at the door, 3 sharp raps, and Elena peered through the peephole. He was standing in the hallway, hands in his pockets, expression calm. She unlatched the chain and opened the door. "Can I come in?" he asked. She stepped aside. Lucian walked in slowly, his gaze sweeping over the apartment. It wasn't much. 1 room with a kitchenette, a bed shoved against the far wall, a single window overlooking the alley. Elena watched him, her pulse ticking faster. "You live alone," he said. "Yes." "No roommates, no boyfriend?" "No." He turned to face her. "How often does he show up here?" Elena's throat tightened. "I don't know. I see him outside sometimes, in the alley or across the street. He doesn't knock, he just watches." Lucian's jaw tightened. He crossed to the window and looked out, his expression unreadable. "You need to leave," he said. "I've tried. He always finds me." "Not this time." Elena frowned. "What are you talking about?" Lucian turned back to her. "I have a place. Secure. No one gets in without my permission. You can stay there until we figure this out." "Why would you do that?" "Because Derek's not going to stop," Lucian said flatly. "And if you stay here, he's going to escalate." Elena's chest tightened. "You don't know him." "I don't need to." Lucian's gaze was steady. "I've seen men like him before. They don't quit. They don't get bored. They just keep pushing until something breaks. And you think you can stop him?" "I think I can keep you alive." Elena stared at him. There was no warmth in his voice, no false comfort, just cold, brutal honesty. And somehow, that made her trust him more than any promise would have. "Okay," she said quietly. Lucian nodded. "Pack a bag. We leave in 10 minutes. Mom." The building was downtown, all glass and steel, the kind of high-rise that looked like it belonged to corporate executives and hedge fund managers. Lucian led Elena through the lobby, sleek, modern, security cameras in every corner, and into an elevator that required a key card to operate. He swiped it without a word, and the elevator began to climb. Elena watched the floor numbers tick upward. Her hands were shaking. She clutched her duffel bag tighter. "Who are you?" she asked quietly. Lucian didn't look at her. "Does it matter?" "Yes." He was silent for a moment, then, "I own security firms, private contracts, corporate protection." "You're a bodyguard?" "Not exactly." The elevator stopped on the 23rd floor. The doors slid open, and Lucian stepped out into a hallway that smelled like new carpet and expensive cologne. Elena followed, her pulse racing. He unlocked a door at the end of the hall and pushed it open. The apartment was massive, floor-to-ceiling windows overlooking the city, sleek furniture that looked like it had never been sat on, a kitchen with marble countertops and stainless steel appliances. It was beautiful. It was cold. "You'll stay here," Lucian said. "There's a guest room through that door. Bathrooms attached." Elena set her bag down slowly. "How long?" "As long as it takes." "And what do you get out of this?" Lucian turned to face her, his expression unreadable. "I haven't decided yet." Elena's stomach twisted. "That's not an answer." "It's the only one I have." They stared at each other for a long moment. Elena wanted to argue, to demand a real explanation, but the exhaustion was catching up with her. She was so tired of running, so tired of being afraid. "Thank you," she said quietly. Lucian nodded. "Get some rest. We'll talk in the morning." He turned and walked toward the door. "Wait," Elena said. He stopped, glancing back. "What if Derek finds me here?" Lucian's expression didn't change. "He won't." "How can you be sure?" "Because," Lucian said quietly, "no one gets past me." Then he left, closing the door behind him. Elena stood in the empty apartment, her heart still racing. Outside, the city stretched out in all directions, lights and noise, and a million people who didn't know she existed. She walked to the window and pressed her hand against the glass. Somewhere out there, Derek was looking for her, planning his next move. And for the first time, Elena wasn't alone. But she wasn't sure if that was better or worse. The first night in Lucian's apartment was quiet. Too quiet. Elena lay in the guest bed, staring at the ceiling, listening to the hum of the city below. She kept expecting Derek to appear at the window or break through the door, but nothing happened. The building was silent, secure, empty. At some point, she fell asleep. When she woke, sunlight was streaming through the windows. She sat up slowly, disoriented. For a moment, she forgot where she was. Then it all came rushing back. The gala, the kiss, Derek's face, Lucian's calm, cold voice. She got up and walked into the main room. Lucian was standing by the window, dressed in dark jeans and a white shirt, his hands in his pockets. He glanced over when she entered. "Coffee's on the counter," he said. Elena poured herself a cup and sat down at the kitchen island. The coffee was strong, bitter, perfect. "Did you sleep?" Lucian asked. "A little." He nodded, still watching the city. "What happens now?" Elena asked. Lucian turned to face her. "Now we figure out what Derek wants." "I already know what he wants. Me. It's more than that." Lucian's gaze was sharp. Men like Derek don't just want their ex-girlfriends back. They want control, power. They want to prove they can take what's theirs. Elena's chest tightened. "So what do we do?" "We make him think he's losing." "How?" Lucian crossed the room and sat down across from her. "Tell me everything, how you met, how long you were together, why you left." Elena's hands tightened around the coffee cup. She didn't want to talk about it, didn't want to relive the worst year of her life. But Lucian was waiting, patient and unyielding, so she told him. She told him about meeting Derek at a bar 2 years ago, how charming he'd been at first, how attentive, how he'd made her feel seen in a way no one else had. She told him about the first time Derek had grabbed her wrist too hard during an argument, how he'd apologized afterward and promised it would never happen again. She told him about the isolation, how Derek had slowly cut her off from her friends, her family, until he was the only person left in her world. And she told him about the night she'd finally left, packing a bag while Derek was at work and running to a friend's house 3 states away. When she finished, her voice was shaking. Lucian was silent. "He's not going to stop," Elena said quietly. "You said it yourself. Men like him don't quit." "No," Lucian agreed. "They don't." "So what do we do?" Lucian leaned back in his chair, his expression thoughtful. "We give him a bigger problem." Elena frowned. "What do you mean?" "Derek's obsessed with you. That makes him reckless. We use that." "How?" Lucian's gaze was steady. "We make him come to us. On our terms." Elena's stomach twisted. "That's insane." "It's the only way. He could kill me. Not if I'm there." Elena stared at him. There was no hesitation in his voice, no doubt, just cold, brutal certainty. "You really think you can protect me?" she asked. Lucian's mouth curved slightly. "I know I can." Elena wanted to believe him, wanted to trust that this stranger with the calm voice and the sharp eyes could keep her safe. But trust was a luxury she'd lost a long time ago. "Okay," she said quietly. "What do we do first?" Lucian stood. "We wait. Derek will make a move, and when he does, we'll be ready." Derek made his move 3 days later. Elena was sitting in Lucian's apartment, reading a book she couldn't focus on, when her phone buzzed. She picked it up and froze. Unknown. Number. "I know where you are." Her hands started shaking. Another message came through. Unknown number. "You think you're safe with him? You're not." Elena's breath came faster. She stood and crossed to the window, looking down at the street below. Pedestrians moved like ants. Cars crawled through traffic. And somewhere down there, Derek was watching. She grabbed her phone and called Lucian. He answered on the first ring. "What happened?" "He knows where I am," Elena said, her voice tight. There was a pause. What did he say? She read the messages out loud. Lucian was silent for a moment, then, "Stay inside. Don't go near the windows." "What are you going to do?" "What I should have done from the beginning." He hung up. Elena stood in the middle of the apartment, her heart hammering. She felt like a mouse in a cage, waiting for the cat to pounce. An hour later, the door opened. Elena spun around, her pulse spiking, then relaxed when she saw Lucian. He walked in slowly, his expression grim. "Did you find him?" Elena asked. "No." "Then what?" "He's not working alone," Lucian said. Elena frowned. "What?" Lucian crossed to the window and looked out. "Derek's been making calls, reaching out to people he shouldn't be reaching out to." "Who?" Lucian turned to face her. "People I know." Elena's stomach dropped. "What does that mean?" "It means Derek's not just obsessed. He's connected." "Connected to what?" Lucian's jaw tightened. "To the wrong people." Elena's pulse raced. "Lucian, what the hell is going on?" He was silent for a long moment. Then he said, "There's something I need to tell you." "What?" "I'm not just in security. I run—" He stopped, choosing his words carefully. "I manage certain operations, things that aren't exactly legal." Elena's blood went cold. "You're a criminal." "I'm a businessman." "That's not an answer." Lucian's gaze was steady. "It's the only one you're going to get." Elena stepped back, her mind racing. She'd trusted him, let him bring her here, and now he was telling her he was... what? A mobster? A drug dealer? "You should have told me," she said, her voice shaking. "Would you have come if I had?" "No." "Exactly." Elena pressed her hands to her face, trying to think. "What does Derek want with you?" "I don't know yet, but he's been asking questions, digging into my business. That makes him more than just your ex-boyfriend. That makes him a problem." "So this isn't about protecting me," Elena said bitterly. "This is about protecting yourself." Lucian's expression didn't change. "It can be both." Elena wanted to scream, wanted to run, but she was trapped, caught between Derek's obsession and Lucian's dangerous world, and she didn't know which one would kill her first. "What do we do?" she asked quietly. Lucian crossed the room and stood in front of her. "We find out what Derek's planning, and we stop him before he can hurt you, or me." Elena looked up at him. His eyes were cold, calculating. But beneath that, there was something else, something that almost looked like concern. "Do you promise?" she asked. "Promise what?" "That you'll keep me safe." Lucian was silent for a moment. Then he said, "I'll do everything I can." It wasn't a yes, but it was enough. That night, Elena couldn't sleep again. She lay in bed, staring at the ceiling, her mind spinning. Derek was out there, connected to people who could hurt her in ways she couldn't imagine. And Lucian. Lucian was something else entirely. Dangerous, controlled. A man who lived in the shadows and made his own rules. She should leave, should pack her bag and disappear into the night before this got any worse. But where would she go? Derek would find her. He always did. At 2 a.m., she got up and walked into the main room. Lucian was sitting on the couch, a laptop open in front of him. He glanced up when she entered. "Can't sleep?" he asked. Elena shook her head. He closed the laptop and gestured to the couch. "Sit." She hesitated, then crossed the room and sat down beside him. The silence stretched between them, heavy and tense. "Tell me about Derek," Lucian said quietly. "I already did." "Not the relationship. Him. Who is he? What does he do?" Elena frowned. "He's a financial analyst, works for some investment firm downtown." "Which one?" "I don't remember the name. Brennan something." Lucian's expression shifted slightly. "Brennan Capital?" "Maybe. Why?" He was silent for a moment, his jaw tight. Then he said, "Brennan Capital is a front." Elena's stomach dropped. "A front for what?" "Money laundering, among other things." Her breath caught. "Derek's involved in that?" "If he works there, yes." Elena's mind raced. She'd always known Derek was ambitious, ruthless even. But this was something else. "What does that mean for me?" she asked. Lucian turned to face her. It means Derek's more dangerous than you thought. And it means we need to move fast. Move fast how? We need leverage. Something that makes Derek back off for good. Like what? Lucian's gaze was steady. Like proof that he's breaking the law. Elena stared at him. You want me to help you build a case against him? I want you to help yourself. She stood, pacing across the room. This is insane. I'm not a detective. I'm not— You're a survivor, Lucian interrupted. And you're smarter than you think. Elena stopped, her chest tight. What if this makes things worse? It won't. You don't know that. No, Lucian admitted, but I know doing nothing will get you killed. Elena closed her eyes, her hands shaking. She thought about the past 6 months, the fear, the isolation, the constant looking over her shoulder. She thought about Derek's smile, his calm voice, the way he made her feel like she was going crazy. She was tired of being afraid. Okay, she said quietly. What do I need to do? Lucian stood and crossed to her. First, we need to know what Derek's planning. That means getting inside his head. How? We make him think he's winning. Elena's pulse quickened. And then? Lucian's mouth curved slightly. And then we destroy him. The next morning came too fast. Elena woke to the sound of her phone buzzing. Not a text this time, but an actual call. She grabbed it off the nightstand, her heart already racing before she even looked at the screen. Unknown number. She stared at it for 3 rings, her thumb hovering over the decline button. Then she answered. Hello? Silence. Just breathing on the other end, slow, deliberate. I know you're there, Derek, Elena said, her voice steadier than she felt. A soft laugh. You always were perceptive. Elena's stomach twisted. She sat up, pressing her back against the headboard. What do you want? To talk. That's all I've ever wanted. We have nothing to talk about. Don't we? Derek's voice was calm, almost gentle. You disappeared, Elena. 6 months without a word. You didn't even give me a chance to explain. Explain what? How you hit me? How you tracked my phone? How you— take it? I made mistakes, Derek interrupted. I know that. But running away wasn't the answer. Hiding with some stranger, that's not you. Elena's jaw clenched. You don't know me anymore. I know you better than anyone. His voice dropped lower. And I know you're scared. Of me. Of him. But you don't have to be. Come back. We can fix this. There's nothing to fix. Elena. She hung up. Her hands were shaking so hard she almost dropped the phone. She pressed it against her chest, trying to breathe. Derek's voice was still in her head, calm and patient and wrong. He always sounded so reasonable, like she was the one being irrational, like she was the problem. The bedroom door opened. Lucian stood in the doorway, already dressed in dark slacks and a gray shirt. His eyes went to the phone in her hands. Was that him? He asked. Elena nodded. Lucian crossed the room and held out his hand. Let me see. She handed him the phone. He scrolled through the call log, his expression unreadable. He's testing you, Lucian said, seeing if you'll break. I didn't. Good. He handed the phone back. But he'll try again, and next time it won't be a call. Elena's chest tightened. What do you mean? He's escalating. The texts were a warning. The call was an ultimatum. Next, he'll show up in person. Here? Maybe. Or somewhere public. Somewhere he can corner you without me around. Elena stood, pacing to the window. The city stretched out below, indifferent and vast. So what do we do? Lucian was silent for a moment. Then he said, We set the trap. An hour later, they were sitting at the kitchen island with a laptop between them. Lucian had pulled up financial records, old emails, security footage, pieces of Derek's life that Elena had never seen before. She stared at the screen, her stomach churning. This is all from Brennan Capital? She asked. Lucian nodded. Derek's been with them for 3 years, started as an analyst, moved up to senior management last year. On paper, he looks clean, but the money tells a different story. He clicked through a series of spreadsheets, highlighting transactions in red. See these? Offshore accounts, shell companies. Money moving through places it shouldn't be moving through. Elena leaned closer. The numbers were staggering, hundreds of thousands, sometimes millions, flowing in and out of accounts with names like Redstone Holdings and Apex Ventures. Is this all Derek? She asked. Some of it, but he's not the top. He's a middleman. Someone higher up is calling the shots. Who? Lucian's jaw tightened. That's what we need to find out. Elena sat back, her mind spinning. She'd always known Derek was ambitious, but this was something else. How do we use this? We make him think you're willing to come back, that you're ready to talk. Elena's pulse spiked. You want me to meet him? In a controlled environment, somewhere I can watch, somewhere he can't hurt you. And then what? Then we get him on record, admitting what he's done, admitting what Brennan Capital is really doing. Elena's breath came faster. He'll never confess to that. He will if he thinks you're coming back to him, if he thinks you're choosing him over me. She stared at Lucian. His expression was cold, calculating. This wasn't about justice. It was about leverage. You're using me as bait, she said quietly. I'm giving you a way out, Lucian corrected. Derek won't stop unless we make him stop. And this is how we do it. Elena wanted to argue, wanted to tell him this was insane, that she couldn't do it. But the truth was, she was tired of running, tired of hiding, tired of letting Derek control her life. Okay, she said, but if this goes wrong, it won't. You don't know that. Lucian's gaze was steady. I won't let him hurt you again. Elena wanted to believe him, wanted to trust that this stranger with the cold eyes and the dangerous world could keep her safe. But trust was still a luxury she couldn't afford. What do I need to do? She asked. Lucian pulled out a small device, a recording pen, sleek and black. Wear this. Keep it in your pocket. It'll pick up everything he says. Elena took it, her hands trembling. And if he searches me? He won't. He'll be too focused on you. You hope. I know. Elena closed her eyes. Her chest felt tight, like she couldn't get enough air. When? Tonight. Mom. The location Lucian chose was a coffee shop in Lincoln Park, public enough that Derek wouldn't try anything violent, quiet enough that they could talk. Elena sat in a corner booth, the recording pen in her jacket pocket, her hands wrapped around a cup of tea she wasn't drinking. Every time the door opened, her pulse spiked. Lucian was across the street in a parked car, watching through the window. He'd given her an earpiece, tiny, almost invisible, so he could hear everything. She touched it now, making sure it was still there. I'm here, Lucian's voice said quietly. You're not alone. Elena nodded, even though he couldn't see her. She glanced at her phone. 7:58 p.m. Derek was supposed to be here at 8. The door opened. Derek walked in, scanning the room until his eyes landed on her. He smiled, slow, familiar, and crossed to the booth. He looked the same as always, clean-shaven, well-dressed, calm. Elena, he said, sliding into the seat across from her. She forced herself to meet his gaze. Derek? You look good. Don't. He raised his hands in mock surrender. I'm just saying, you look healthier, happier even. Elena's jaw clenched. What do you want? Derek leaned back, studying her. I want to understand why you left, why you're hiding from me. I'm not hiding. Aren't you? His eyes narrowed. You changed your number, moved 3 times, filed a restraining order. That sounds like hiding to me. It's called protecting myself. From me? Derek's voice was soft, almost hurt. Elena, I've never hurt you. Elena's hands tightened around the cup. You grabbed me. You yelled at me. You made me feel like I was losing my mind. I was frustrated. We were fighting. People fight, Elena. That doesn't mean... You hit me. Derek went still. His expression didn't change, but something flickered behind his eyes. Once. I hit you once, and I apologized. That doesn't make it okay. I know. He leaned forward, his voice dropping. I know I made mistakes, but I've changed. I've been seeing someone, a therapist, working on myself. Elena's pulse raced. She could hear Lucian's breathing in her ear, steady and calm. That's good, she said carefully. But it doesn't change what happened. No, it doesn't. But it means I'm trying. It means I want to be better for you. Elena's stomach twisted. He sounded so sincere, so reasonable. This was the Derek she'd fallen in love with, the one who could make her believe anything. I don't know if I can forgive you, she said quietly. Derek reached across the table, his fingers brushing hers. I'm not asking you to, not yet. I'm just asking for a chance to prove I've changed. Elena pulled her hand back. What about Brennan Capital? Derek's expression shifted, just slightly. What about it? I know what they do, the money laundering, the offshore accounts. Derek's eyes narrowed. Who told you that? Does it matter? Yes. His voice hardened. Someone's been filling your head with lies. They're not lies. They are. Derek leaned back, his jaw tight. Brennan Capital is a legitimate investment firm. We handle high net worth clients, that's all. Then why are there shell companies? Why is money moving through the Cayman Islands? Derek stared at her, his expression unreadable. Then he laughed, short and bitter. This is him, isn't it? Moretti. He's the one feeding you this bullshit. Elena's breath caught. How do you know about Lucian? I know a lot of things, Elena. More than you think. Derek's eyes were cold now, all pretense of warmth gone. You think he's protecting you? He's using you. He's a criminal, a thug, and you're just another piece on his board. That's not true. Isn't it? Derek leaned forward. Ask yourself why he's helping you. What does he get out of it? Men like Moretti don't do anything for free. Elena's chest tightened. She wanted to argue, but Derek's words were burrowing under her skin, planting doubt. He's keeping me safe, she said, but her voice wavered. He's keeping you controlled. Derek's voice softened. Elena, I know you're scared. I know you don't trust me. But I'm the only one who's ever really cared about you. Not him. Me. Elena's hands were shaking. She could hear Lucian in her ear, his breathing steady, but he wasn't saying anything, wasn't telling her what to do. I need to go, she said, standing. Derek grabbed her wrist, not hard, but firm. Elena, wait. She yanked her hand free. Don't touch me. I'm sorry. He held up his hands. I'm sorry, please, don't go back to him. Come home. We can figure this out together. Elena stared at him. For a moment she saw the man she'd loved, the one who'd made her laugh, who'd held her when she cried. But then she saw the other man too, the one who'd grabbed her too hard, who'd tracked her phone, who'd made her afraid to leave her own apartment. I can't, she said quietly. Derek's expression hardened. Then you're making a mistake. Maybe, but it's mine to make. She turned and walked out of the coffee shop, her pulse hammering. The cold air hit her face like a slap. She crossed the street, heading toward Lucian's car. He was already out, leaning against the hood. He straightened when he saw her. You okay? He asked. Elena nodded, even though she wasn't. Her hands were still shaking. Did you hear all of it? Every word. Did we get what we need? Lucian's jaw tightened. Not enough. He's careful. Didn't admit to anything concrete. Elena's chest deflated. So this was for nothing. No, we learned something. What? Lucian looked past her, back toward the coffee shop. Derek was standing in the window watching them. He knows who I am, and he's not afraid of me. Elena's stomach dropped. What does that mean? It means he's got backup, someone bigger than me. Who? Lucian's expression darkened. I'm going to find out. They drove back to the apartment in silence. Elena stared out the window, her mind replaying the conversation with Derek. His words kept circling back. He's using you. Men like Moretti don't do anything for free. She glanced at Lucian. His hands were tight on the steering wheel, his jaw clenched. He looked angry, not at her, but at something else. What are you thinking? She asked. That Derek's more connected than I thought. To who? Lucian didn't answer right away. Then he said, There's a man, Vincent Donati. He runs most of the organized operations in Chicago. If Derek's working with him, then what? Lucian's eyes flicked to hers. Then we're in more trouble than I thought. Elena's pulse quickened. Why would Derek be working with someone like that? Because Brennan Capital isn't just laundering money for corporate clients. They're laundering it for Donati. Elena's breath caught. And Derek knows? He has to. No one works at Brennan without knowing what they're really doing. Elena pressed her hands to her face. This is insane. I just wanted him to leave me alone. I know. And now we're going up against some crime boss? We don't have a choice. Yes, we do. I can leave, disappear, change my name, move to another state. Lucian pulled the car to a stop in front of his building. He turned to face her, his expression hard. And you think Derek won't follow? You think Donati won't find you if Derek asks him to? Elena's throat tightened. So what do we do? We finish this. We get proof that Brennan Capital is dirty. We take it to the feds, and we make sure Derek goes down with them. Elena stared at him. You really think that'll work? It's the only option we have. She wanted to argue, wanted to scream, but the exhaustion was catching up with her, and she didn't have any better ideas. Fine, she said. But if this gets me killed, it won't. You keep saying that. Because it's true. They got out of the car and headed into the building. The elevator ride up was silent. When they reached the apartment, Lucian unlocked the door and stepped inside first, checking the rooms like he always did. Elena followed, dropping her bag by the couch. I need a drink, she said. Lucian crossed to the bar and poured 2 glasses of whiskey. He handed her one, and they stood there, not talking, just drinking. The silence stretched between them, heavy, tense. Can I ask you something? Elena said finally. Lucian nodded. Why are you really helping me? He looked at her for a long moment. I told you. Derek's a problem. That's not an answer. Lucian set his glass down. You want the truth? Yes. I don't like men who hurt women. I've seen what they do, how they break people, and I've spent most of my life cleaning up their messes. Elena's chest tightened. Is that what I am? A mess? No. Lucian's gaze was steady. You're a survivor, and you deserve better than what Derek gave you. Elena's eyes stung. She blinked hard, refusing to cry. Thank you, Lucian nodded. Get some rest. Tomorrow's going to be long. Elena went to the guest room and closed the door. She sat on the edge of the bed, staring at the floor. Her phone buzzed. Another text from an unknown number. Unknown number. You made a mistake tonight. Her stomach dropped. Another message came through. Unknown number. But it's not too late. Come back to me, and I'll forget this ever happened. Elena deleted both messages and turned off her phone. She lay down, pulling the blanket over herself, and stared at the ceiling. Sleep didn't come. The next morning, Lucian was gone when Elena woke up. There was a note on the counter. Had to take care of something. Stay inside. Elena poured herself coffee and sat at the kitchen island, scrolling through her laptop. She'd been thinking about what Lucian said, about getting proof that Brennan Capital was dirty. If Derek was involved in money laundering, there had to be a trail. Documents, emails, something. She pulled up Derek's social media profiles. Most of them were locked down, but his LinkedIn was public. She scrolled through his connections, looking for names she recognized. One jumped out. Marcus Brennan, CEO of Brennan Capital. She clicked on his profile. The man was in his 50s, sharp-featured, with a smile that didn't reach his eyes. His bio was vague. Investment strategist, risk management specialist. No mention of offshore accounts or shell companies. Elena kept scrolling and found another name, Vincent Donati. Her breath caught. Donati's profile was sparse. No photo, no details beyond a generic job title. But the connection was there. Marcus Brennan and Vincent Donati were linked. Elena's hands shook as she screenshot the profile. This was it. This was the proof they needed. The door opened behind her. She spun around, her heart lurching, then relaxed when she saw Lucian. You scared me, she said. Lucian crossed the room, his expression grim. We have a problem. Elena's stomach dropped. What? Derek filed a police report. Says I'm holding you against your will. Elena's blood went cold. What? He's claiming you're a victim, that I kidnapped you. That's insane. I came here willingly. I know. But Derek's painting himself as the concerned ex-boyfriend trying to save you. Elena's chest tightened. So what happens now? The police will want to talk to you, verify that you're okay. And if I tell them the truth, that Derek's the one stalking me, they'll investigate. But it'll take time. And in the meantime, Derek's free to keep coming after you. Elena pressed her hands to her face. This is a nightmare. There's more. She looked up. What? Lucian's jaw tightened. Derek's lawyer is Victor Kane. Elena frowned. Who's that? Donati's personal attorney. If Derek's using Kane, it means Donati's backing him. Elena's pulse raced. Why would Donati care about me? Because you're connected to me, and Donati's been looking for a way to take me down for years. Elena stood, pacing across the room. So I'm just, what? Collateral damage? No, your leverage. Derek knows that if he can turn you against me, he weakens me. And if he weakens me, Donati can move in. Elena's hands shook. I don't want to be part of this. You already are. She spun to face him, her eyes stinging. Then help me get out. I'm trying. Try harder. Lucian crossed the room and grabbed her shoulders, forcing her to look at him. Listen to me. I know you're scared. I know this isn't what you signed up for. But if we don't finish this, if we don't take Derek and Donati down, you will never be safe. Do you understand? Elena's breath came in short gasps. She wanted to argue, to push him away, but the truth was, he was right. She'd run before, and Derek had always found her. Running wasn't an option anymore. Okay, she whispered. Lucian let go of her shoulders. We need to move fast. The police will be here soon. What do I tell them? The truth. That you're here willingly. That Derek's been stalking you. Show them the texts, the restraining order. Make it clear you're the victim, not me. Elena nodded, her mind spinning. And then what? Then we go after Brennan Capital. We get the proof we need and hand it to the feds. How? Lucian's expression darkened. We break in. The plan was simple. Too simple. Lucian had a contact inside Brennan Capital, a security guard who owed him a favor. The guard would let them in after hours, give them 30 minutes to search Derek's office, and get them out before anyone noticed. Elena stood in the parking garage beneath Brennan Capital's building, her heart hammering. It was 11 p.m., and the place was deserted. Lucian was beside her, dressed in black, his expression calm. You don't have to do this, he said. Yes, I do. Lucian nodded. Stay close. Don't touch anything you don't have to. And if something goes wrong, run! I know! They crossed to the service elevator. Lucian swiped a key card and the doors opened. They rode up in silence, the only sound their breathing. When the doors opened on the 15th floor, Elena's pulse spiked. The hallway was dark, lit only by emergency exit signs. Lucian led the way, moving quietly, confidently. He stopped in front of a door marked D. Hale, Senior Analyst. This is it, he said. He picked the lock in under 30 seconds. The door swung open and they stepped inside. Derek's office was neat, almost sterile. A desk with a computer, a filing cabinet, a bookshelf lined with binders. Elena crossed to the desk and powered on the computer. The login screen appeared. I need his password, she said. Lucian pulled a USB drive from his pocket. Use this. It'll bypass the login. Elena plugged it in, her hands shaking. The screen flickered and suddenly she was in. Derek's files filled the monitor. Emails, spreadsheets, documents. She started searching. Most of it was mundane, client portfolios, market analyses. But then she found a folder labeled Offshore Holdings. She clicked it open. Inside were dozens of files, account numbers, wire transfers, names she didn't recognize. And at the bottom, a document labeled Donati, Q3 Summary. Elena's breath caught. She clicked it open. The document was a ledger, pages and pages of transactions, all tied to Vincent Donati. Money flowing in and out of Brennan Capital, routed through shell companies, offshore accounts, back into legitimate businesses. This is it, Elena whispered. Lucian leaned over her shoulder, scanning the screen. Copy everything. Elena inserted another USB drive and started dragging files. The computer hummed as it worked. She watched the progress bar, her pulse racing. 75%, 80%, 85%. A sound echoed down the hallway. Footsteps. Elena's breath caught. Lucian grabbed her arm, pulling her toward the door. We need to go. Now. The files aren't done. Leave them. No. Elena yanked free and turned back to the computer. 95%. 98%. The footsteps were getting closer. She could hear voices now, low, male, angry. 100%. Elena yanked the USB drive out and shoved it in her pocket. Lucian grabbed her hand and pulled her into the hallway. They ran toward the emergency stairs, their footsteps echoing. Behind them, someone shouted, "Stop!" Lucian shoved the stairwell door open, and they plunged down the stairs, taking them two at a time. Elena's lungs burned. Her legs screamed, but she didn't stop. They burst out into the parking garage. Lucian's car was 50 feet away. They sprinted toward it, Elena's heels clicking against concrete. Behind them, the stairwell door slammed open. Lucian unlocked the car, and they dove inside. He gunned the engine, tires screeching as they peeled out of the garage. Elena twisted in her seat, looking back. Two men stood in the doorway, watching them disappear into the night. "Did they see us?" Elena gasped. "Probably." "Shit." Lucian's jaw was tight, his knuckles white on the steering wheel. "Doesn't matter, we got what we needed." Elena pulled the USB drive from her pocket, staring at it. This tiny piece of plastic held Derek's entire operation, proof that Brennan Capital was dirty, proof that Vincent Donati was pulling the strings. "What do we do now?" she asked. Lucian glanced at her, his expression grim. "We give it to the feds, and we pray they move fast enough to keep us alive." Yeah. They didn't go back to Lucian's apartment. Instead, he drove to a motel on the outskirts of the city, the kind of place that took cash and didn't ask questions. They checked in under fake names and locked themselves in a room that smelled like stale cigarettes and disinfectant. Elena sat on the bed, clutching the USB drive. Lucian stood by the window, looking out at the parking lot. "Do you think they know who we are?" Elena asked. "If they don't yet, they will soon. Brennan Capital has security cameras. They'll pull the footage." Elena's stomach twisted. "So Derek will know it was me." "Yes. He'll come after me." "He already was." Elena pressed her hands to her face. "This is insane. We just broke into his office. We stole files. We got proof," Lucian interrupted. "Proof that he's a criminal. Proof that Donati's running a money laundering operation through Brennan Capital. That's what matters. And if the feds don't care, if they say the evidence is inadmissible because we stole it," Lucian turned to face her, "then we find another way." Elena laughed, bitter, exhausted. "There is no other way. We're out of options." "No." Lucian crossed the room and sat down beside her. "We still have one." Elena looked at him. "What?" "We go public, give the files to a journalist, someone who can't be bought." Elena's breath caught. Derek will kill me." "Not if he's in prison." "And if he's not? If this doesn't work?" Lucian's gaze was steady. "Then we disappear. Both of us. New names, new lives. Somewhere he can't find us." Elena stared at him. The exhaustion was written all over his face, the tight lines around his eyes, the tension in his jaw. He was as trapped in this as she was. "You'd really do that?" she asked. "Leave everything behind? If it keeps you safe?" "Yes." Elena's eyes stung. She looked away, swallowing hard. "I don't understand you. What's there to understand?" "Why you care? Why you're risking everything for someone you barely know?" Lucian was silent for a long moment. Then he said, "Because no one did it for me." Elena turned to face him. "What?" Lucian's jaw tightened. "When I was younger, I was in a situation like yours. Someone I trusted hurt me, and no one stepped in. No one helped. I had to fight my way out alone." Elena's chest ached. "I'm sorry." "Don't be. It made me who I am." He looked at her, his eyes dark. "But it also taught me that people like Derek, people who hurt others and think they can get away with it, they need to be stopped. And if no one else is going to do it, then I will." Elena's throat tightened. She reached out and took his hand. "Thank you." Lucian squeezed her fingers. "Don't thank me yet. We're not done." Ortiz. At 6 a.m., Elena woke to her phone buzzing. She grabbed it off the nightstand, her heart already racing. Derek. Not a text this time. A video message. Her hands shook as she pressed play. The video showed Derek sitting in what looked like his office. He was calm, composed, staring directly into the camera. "Elena," he said, "I know you're watching this, and I know what you did last night." Her stomach dropped. "You broke into my office, stole files. You think that makes you brave? It doesn't. It makes you stupid." Derek leaned forward, his eyes cold. "You're in over your head, you and Moretti both. And if you don't come back to me, if you don't fix this, I will destroy you. I will take everything you care about and burn it to the ground." He smiled, slow, deliberate. "This is your last chance, Elena. Choose wisely." The video ended. Elena's breath came in short, sharp gasps. She looked over at Lucian, who was already awake, sitting on the edge of his bed. "He sent you the video too?" she asked. Lucian nodded. Elena stood, pacing across the room. He knows. He knows everything. We expected that. And now he's threatening me. Threatening us." "He's scared," Lucian said. "Men like Derek only threaten when they're losing control. Or when they're about to do something terrible." Lucian stood and crossed to her. "Listen to me. We're going to finish this. Today. We're taking the files to the feds, and we're making sure Derek and Donati go down. And if they don't, if the feds don't move fast enough," Lucian's jaw tightened, "then we do what we have to do." Elena stared at him. There was something in his voice, something dark and final. "What does that mean?" "It means I'm not letting Derek hurt you again, no matter what it takes." Elena's pulse raced. She wanted to argue, to tell him he was going too far, but the truth was she was tired of being afraid, tired of running, tired of letting Derek control her life. "Okay," she said quietly. "Let's finish this." They gathered their things and headed for the car. The sun was just starting to rise, casting long shadows across the parking lot. Elena climbed into the passenger seat, the USB drive still clutched in her hand. Lucian started the engine, and then the window exploded. Glass shattered everywhere. Elena screamed, ducking down. Lucian swore and threw the car into reverse. Another shot rang out, punching through the windshield. "Get down!" Lucian shouted. Elena pressed herself against the floor, her heart hammering. The car screeched backward, tires smoking. Another shot, and another. Lucian spun the wheel, and they shot forward, speeding out of the parking lot. Elena stayed down, her hands over her head, glass cutting into her palms. "Are you hit?" Lucian asked, his voice tight. "No. Are you?" "No." Elena slowly sat up, her breath coming in gasps. The back window was gone. The windshield was cracked. And somewhere behind them, someone was trying to kill them. "Who was that?" she gasped. Lucian's jaw was tight, his hands white on the steering wheel. "Donati's people. Derek must have called them." Elena's stomach twisted. "They're going to kill us." "Not if we move faster." He pulled out his phone and dialed a number. It rang twice before someone answered. "It's Moretti," Lucian said. "I need federal protection. Now." There was a pause. Then, "We're on our way to the FBI field office. We have evidence linking Vincent Donati to a money laundering operation, and someone just tried to kill us." Another pause. "Good. We'll be there in 20 minutes. He hung up and glanced at Elena. "We're going straight to the feds. No stops, no detours." Elena nodded, her hands shaking. She clutched the USB drive tighter. This was it, the point of no return. They were either going to take Derek and Donati down, or they were going to die trying. The FBI field office sat like a concrete fortress on West Roosevelt Road, all gray walls and tinted windows that reflected the morning sky back at itself. Lucian pulled the car into the parking garage, tires squealing on the polished floor. Elena's hands were still shaking, small cuts from the shattered glass bleeding onto her jeans. She pressed a tissue against her palm, watching the red spread. "Stay close to me," Lucian said, killing the engine. Elena nodded. Her throat was too tight to speak. They got out and crossed to the elevator. Lucian kept his hand on her lower back, guiding her. The elevator doors opened, and a woman in a dark suit stepped out, mid-40s, hair pulled back severe, eyes that missed nothing. "Moretti," she said, no warmth in her voice. "Agent Reyes." Lucian's tone was equally flat. Reyes's gaze shifted to Elena, taking in the cuts, the pale skin, the trembling hands. "This her?" "Elena Voss. She has evidence linking Vincent Donati to Brennan Capital's money laundering operation. Reyes's expression didn't change. Come with me. They followed her through a maze of hallways, past offices where agents typed at computers or talked in low voices on phones. Everything smelled like burnt coffee and recycled air. Reyes led them into a conference room, windowless, with a long table and chairs that looked uncomfortable on purpose. Sit, Reyes said. Elena and Lucian sat. Reyes remained standing, arms crossed. Before we start, Reyes said, I need to know how you obtained this evidence. Elena's stomach dropped. She glanced at Lucian. His expression was carefully neutral. We broke into Derek Hale's office at Brennan Capital, Lucian said. Last night, around 11 p.m. Reyes's jaw tightened. You broke in? Yes. Without a warrant, without authorization. We didn't have a choice. Hale's been stalking Ms. Voss for 6 months. He's connected to Donati. We needed proof. Reyes leaned forward, her hands flat on the table. You do understand that anything you obtain through illegal means is inadmissible in court? Elena's breath caught. What? The Fourth Amendment protects against unlawful search and seizure. If you broke in, the evidence can't be used. That's insane, Elena said, her voice rising. We have proof that Derek's laundering money for a crime boss, and you're saying it doesn't matter because we didn't have permission? I'm saying the law exists for a reason. The law didn't stop him from stalking me. The law didn't stop him from threatening me. The law has done nothing but let him keep coming after me. Reyes's expression softened, just slightly. I understand your frustration, Ms. Voss, but my hands are tied. If the evidence was obtained illegally, I can't use it to build a case. Elena stood, her chair scraping back. Then what the hell are we doing here? Sit down, Reyes said. No. Elena's hands were shaking harder now. You don't understand. Someone just shot at us. They tried to kill us, and you're telling me you can't help because we broke a rule? Ms. Voss, Derek is going to keep coming. He's not going to stop. And if you can't protect me, then what's the point? Lucian stood and put a hand on Elena's shoulder. Elena, sit. She wanted to scream, wanted to throw the USB drive at Reyes's face and walk out, but Lucian's hand was steady, grounding. She sat. Reyes watched them both for a long moment. Then she pulled out a chair and sat down across from them. Let me see the files, she said. Lucian pulled the USB drive from his pocket and slid it across the table. Reyes plugged it into a laptop and started clicking through the files. Her expression didn't change, but Elena could see her eyes moving faster, scanning. After 5 minutes, Reyes sat back. This is good, she said quietly. Better than good. This could take down Donati's entire operation. Elena's pulse quickened. So you can use it? Not in court, but I can use it to get a warrant. If these files are accurate, I can send agents to Brennan Capital, seize their records legally, and build a case from there. How long will that take? Lucian asked. 48 hours. Maybe less. We don't have 48 hours, Elena said. Derek knows we took these files. He's already trying to kill us. Reyes's gaze sharpened. You said someone shot at you. Where? A motel on the south side 20 minutes ago. Did you see who it was? No. But it had to be Donati's people. Derek would have called them the second he realized we broke in. Reyes stood and pulled out her phone. I'm putting you both in protective custody. We have a safe house on the north side. You'll stay there until we can move on Brennan Capital. And if Donati finds us before then? Elena asked. Reyes's expression was grim. Then you pray we move faster. The safe house was a duplex in Edgewater, tucked between other houses that all looked the same. Beige siding, small yard, nothing that screamed federal protection. 2 agents stood outside, young, armed, trying to look casual. Reyes led Elena and Lucian inside. The interior was sparse, a couch that had seen better days, a kitchen table with mismatched chairs, blinds drawn tight over every window. You'll stay here, Reyes said. Don't leave. Don't call anyone. Don't post on social media. As far as the world knows, you don't exist. Elena nodded numbly. Reyes turned to Lucian. I need to speak with you. Outside. Lucian glanced at Elena. I'll be right back. They stepped onto the porch, closing the door behind them. Elena stood in the middle of the living room, Her arms wrapped around herself. She could hear their voices through the door, low, tense. "You know what you've done, right?" Reyes said. "I protected a woman who was being stalked. You broke the law, multiple laws, and now I have to clean up your mess." "I did what you couldn't. I couldn't because we were building a case the right way. We've had Brennan Capital under surveillance for 6 months. We were close to getting a warrant, and then you go and break in, contaminating everything." Lucian's voice was cold. "So you knew. You knew Derek was dirty, and you did nothing. We were waiting for the right moment. And meanwhile, Elena was getting death threats, getting stalked, living in fear." "I know." Reyes's voice softened. "And I'm sorry, but you still broke the law. Are you going to arrest me?" There was a long pause, then, "Not yet. But if this goes sideways, if Donati walks because of what you did, I won't have a choice." "Understood." The door opened. Lucian stepped back inside, his expression unreadable. Reyes followed. "We'll have agents watching the house 24/7, Reyes said. "If anything happens, they'll respond immediately." Elena nodded. "Thank you." Reyes's gaze softened. "Hang in there, Ms. Voss. We're going to get this bastard." Then she left. The door closed, and suddenly the house felt very small, very quiet. Elena sat down on the couch, pressing her hands to her face. "Are you okay?" Lucian asked. "No." Her voice was muffled. "I'm not okay. Someone tried to kill us. The FBI says the evidence is useless, and Derek is still out there." Lucian sat down beside her. "The evidence isn't useless. Reyes is going to use it to get a warrant. We just have to wait. And if Donati finds us first?" "He won't." Elena looked at him. "You don't know that." "No," Lucian admitted, "but I'm not going to let him hurt you." Elena's throat tightened. She wanted to believe him, wanted to trust that everything would work out. But the past 6 months had taught her that hope was a luxury she couldn't afford. "What did Reyes say to you?" she asked. Lucian's jaw tightened. "That I broke the law. That if this goes wrong, she'll arrest me." "Will she?" "Probably." Elena's chest ached. "I'm sorry. This is my fault." "No, it's not." "Yes, it is. If I hadn't dragged you into this—" "You didn't drag me into anything," Lucian interrupted. "I made a choice, and I'd make it again." Elena stared at him. There was something in his eyes, something fierce and protective and terrifying all at once. "Why?" she whispered. Lucian didn't answer. He just looked at her, and for a moment the air between them felt charged, heavy with everything they weren't saying. Then his phone buzzed. Lucian pulled it out, frowning at the screen. "It's a blocked number." Elena's stomach dropped. "Don't answer it." "I have to. It could be Reyes." He answered. "Moretti." Elena watched his expression change, hardening, going cold. "When?" he said. A pause. "I'll be there." He hung up. "Who was that?" Elena asked. Lucian's jaw was tight. "Donati. He wants to meet." Elena's blood went cold. "What? Why?" "He says he has information. About Derek. About what's really going on. It's a trap." "Probably." "Then you can't go." Lucian stood, pacing to the window. "If Donati's willing to talk, it means he's worried. It means the files we took actually scared him. Or it means he wants to kill you. Maybe. But if there's a chance he'll give up Derek, you can't trust him." Lucian turned to face her. "I know, but I don't have a choice." Elena stood, crossing to him. "Yes, you do. You can stay here. You can wait for Reyes to get the warrant. You can—" "I can't." Lucian's voice was hard. "Donati doesn't make offers like this. If I don't show, he'll assume I'm weak, and weak men don't survive in his world." Elena's hands shook. "Then I'm coming with you." "Absolutely not. You don't get to make that choice." "Yes, I do. You're staying here where it's safe." "Safe?" Elena's voice rose. "Someone shot at us this morning. Derek knows where we are. There is no safe." Lucian grabbed her shoulders, forcing her to look at him. "Listen to me. Donati is the most dangerous man in Chicago. If you come with me, he will use you against me. He will threaten you, hurt you, anything to get leverage. I can't let that happen." and I can't let you walk into a trap alone." They stared at each other, both breathing hard. "Please," Lucian said quietly. "Trust me." Elena's eyes stung. She wanted to argue, wanted to scream, but the look on Lucian's face, the desperation, the fear he was trying so hard to hide, broke something inside her. "Okay," she whispered. Lucian let go of her shoulders. "I'll be back in 2 hours. Don't leave this house. Don't open the door for anyone. What if you don't come back?" "I will." "You can't promise that." Lucian's expression softened. He reached out and brushed a strand of hair from her face. "I've survived worse." Then he turned and walked out. Elena stood in the empty living room, her heart hammering. She crossed to the window and watched Lucian get into his car. The agents outside didn't stop him, didn't even look up. He pulled out of the driveway and disappeared down the street. Elena sank onto the couch, pressing her hands to her face. She felt like she was drowning, like the world was closing in from all sides. Her phone buzzed. She grabbed it, expecting another text from Derek, but the number was different, local, unknown. Number: "He's walking into a trap. If you want to save him, come to the address below. Alone. You have 1 hour. Below that, an address. A warehouse on the south side." Elena's breath caught. Her hands shook so hard she almost dropped the phone. This was it. The choice she'd been dreading. Stay here and hope Lucian came back alive, or go after him and risk everything. She looked at the door. The agents outside were smoking, talking, not paying attention. Elena stood. She grabbed her jacket, shoved her phone in her pocket, and walked to the back door. It opened onto a small yard with a chain-link fence. She climbed over it, dropped into the alley, and started running. Syndicates. The warehouse was exactly what Elena expected. Rusted metal siding, broken windows, graffiti covering every surface. She stood across the street, her heart hammering, trying to catch her breath. The address on her phone matched. This was the place. She pulled out her phone and called Lucian. It went straight to voicemail. "Damn it," she whispered. She tried Reyes, same thing, voicemail. Elena stared at the warehouse. Every instinct screamed at her to turn around, to run, to call for help. But if Lucian was inside, if he was in danger, she couldn't just leave him. She crossed the street and pushed open a side door. It creaked on rusted hinges. Inside, the warehouse was dark, lit only by slivers of sunlight through the broken windows. The air smelled like oil and decay. "Hello," Elena called. Her voice echoed. She took a step forward, then another. Her footsteps sounded too loud on the concrete floor. "Lucian?" Nothing. She pulled out her phone and turned on the flashlight. The beam cut through the darkness, illuminating rusted machinery, old crates, and a figure stepped out of the shadows. Elena gasped and stumbled back. It was Derek. He looked different, disheveled. His suit rumpled, his tie loose, but his eyes were the same, cold, focused, predatory. "Hello, Elena," he said. Elena's pulse spiked. "Where's Lucian?" Derek smiled. "He's not here." "You said," the text said, "I lied." Derek took a step closer. "I needed to get you alone, and you made it so easy." Elena backed up, her mind racing. "The FBI knows where I am. If I don't check in..." "They don't know anything. You ran, alone, just like I knew you would." Elena's breath came faster. She looked around, searching for an exit, but Derek was between her and the door. "What do you want?" she asked. Derek's expression softened. "I want you to come home. To stop this insanity. To remember that we were good together. We were never good together. You hit me. You controlled me. I loved you," Derek interrupted. His voice was quiet, almost gentle. "I still do. And I know you love me too." "I don't." "You do. You're just confused. Moretti's been filling your head with lies, making you think I'm the villain." Elena's hand shook. "You are the villain, Derek. You stalked me. You threatened me. You tried to kill me." Derek's expression hardened. "I've never tried to kill you. I've been trying to save you." "From what?" "From him." Derek's voice rose. "Moretti is a criminal, a killer. He's using you to get to Donati, and when he's done, he'll throw you away like garbage." "That's not true." "Isn't it?" Derek took another step closer. "Ask yourself why he's helping you. What does he get out of it? Men like Moretti don't do anything for free. Elena's chest tightened. Those were the same words Derek had said at the coffee shop, and they still burrowed under her skin, planting doubt. He's keeping me safe, she said, but her voice wavered. Is he? Because from where I'm standing, you're more in danger now than you've ever been. Elena's throat tightened. Where's Lucian? Derek's smile was cold. He's meeting with Donati. Right now. At the old grain elevator on the waterfront, and Donati's going to kill him. Elena's blood went cold. No. Yes. Unless you do exactly what I say. What do you want? Derek pulled out his phone and held it up. Call Moretti. Tell him to leave. Tell him you're coming back to me. And I'll call Donati off. Elena stared at him. You're insane. I'm giving you a choice. Moretti's life. Or your freedom. That's not a choice. It's the only one you have. Elena's hands shook. She could feel the walls closing in, her options shrinking. If she called Lucian, Derek would know where he was. If she didn't, Lucian would die. Why are you doing this? She whispered. Derek's expression softened again. Because I love you. And I'm not going to let you throw your life away for a man who doesn't deserve you. Elena's eyes stung. She looked at Derek, really looked at him. And for the first time, she saw past the charm, past the control. She saw the desperation, the fear, the obsession that had twisted him into something monstrous. You don't love me, she said quietly. You love the idea of owning me. Derek's jaw tightened. That's not true. It is. You don't see me as a person. You see me as a thing, something you can control and manipulate and keep locked away. Elena, I'm not coming back to you, she said. Her voice was steady now, strong. Ever. And if you hurt Lucian, I will make sure you spend the rest of your life in prison. Derek's expression went cold. Wrong answer. He lunged. Elena screamed and stumbled back. Derek grabbed her wrist, yanking her toward him. She swung her phone, hitting him across the face. He grunted and let go. Elena ran. She sprinted toward the door, her lungs burning. Behind her, Derek was shouting, his footsteps pounding. She burst through the door into the sunlight, nearly tripping over the curb. A car screeched to a stop in front of her. The door opened and Agent Reyes stepped out, gun drawn. Get down, she shouted. Elena dropped to the ground. Reyes aimed past her at the warehouse door. Derek appeared, his face twisted with rage. FBI, hands up, Reyes barked. Derek froze. Two more agents appeared from a second car, guns raised. Derek looked at them, then at Elena. His expression crumbled, rage giving way to something that almost looked like grief. You chose him, he said quietly. Elena stood, her legs shaking. I chose myself. Derek's hand slowly went up. One of the agents moved in, cuffing him. He didn't resist. He just stared at Elena, his eyes empty. Reyes holstered her weapon and crossed to Elena. Are you okay? Elena nodded, even though she wasn't. How did you find me? We've been tracking your phone since you left the safe house. I figured you'd do something stupid. Elena's laugh was shaky. Lucian, he's meeting with Donati. Derek said, we know. We have agents on site. Elena's stomach dropped. Is he okay? Reyes's expression was grim. I don't know yet. The grain elevator loomed against the sky like a monument to decay. Towering concrete silos covered in rust and graffiti. Reyes drove fast, sirens off, weaving through traffic. Elena sat in the passenger seat, her hands clenched in her lap. Why didn't you stop him? She asked. Why did you let him go to Donati? Because we needed Donati to make a move. We've been trying to catch him for years, but he's too careful. If Moretti could get him talking, on record, you used him as bait. Reyes didn't deny it. We had agents watching. If things went bad, they were ready to intervene. And if they didn't intervene fast enough? Reyes didn't answer. They pulled into the lot near the grain elevator. Police cars were already there, lights flashing. Agents in tactical gear moved in tight formations. Reyes parked and got out. Elena followed, her heart hammering. An agent jogged over. We heard shots, 3, maybe 4. Teams moving in now. Elena's breath caught. Where's Lucian? We don't know yet. Reyes grabbed a radio. All units, report. Do we have eyes on Moretti? Static. Then a voice crackled through. Negative, building's clear, no sign of Moretti or Donati. Elena's stomach dropped. What does that mean? Rhea's jaw tightened. She turned to the agent. Search the building, every floor, and get me the security footage from the surrounding area. The agent nodded and ran off. Elena grabbed Reyes's arm. You said you had agents watching. Where were they? They were here, but Donati's people must have spotted them. They cleared out before we could move in. So Lucian's gone. We don't know that. Yes, you do. Elena's voice rose. You let him walk into a trap, and now he's gone. Reyes's expression was hard. We're doing everything we can. Elena wanted to scream, wanted to hit something, but her legs were shaking and her chest felt too tight to breathe. An agent jogged over holding a tablet. Agent Reyes, we found something. Reyes took the tablet. Elena looked over her shoulder. The screen showed security footage from a camera across the street. Grainy, but clear enough. The footage showed Lucian walking into the grain elevator. 2 minutes later, 4 men in dark suits followed. Then, 8 minutes after that, the men came back out. Alone. They were carrying something. A body. Elena's vision blurred. No. Reyes zoomed in. The body was wrapped in a tarp, but Elena could see dark hair, a hand hanging limp. That's him, Elena whispered. That's Lucian. Reyes was silent. Elena's knees gave out. She sank to the ground, pressing her hands to her face. This couldn't be happening. This couldn't be real. We need to find that body, Reyes said, her voice tight. Now, pull traffic cams, track their vehicle. I want to know where they went. Elena couldn't breathe, couldn't think. Lucian was dead. He'd walked into Donati's trap to protect her, and now he was dead. And it was all her fault. Reyes crouched beside her. Ms. Voss, Elena, I need you to focus. Elena looked up, tears streaming down her face. He's dead. We don't know that. Yes, we do. We saw them carrying something, but we don't know it was Moretti, and we don't know if he was dead. Elena's breath came in short gasps. What are you saying? I'm saying we keep looking, and we don't give up until we know for sure. Elena wanted to believe her, wanted to hope, but hope felt like a knife twisting in her chest. An agent jogged over. We tracked the vehicle. It's headed south toward the old stockyards. Reyes stood. Let's move. She pulled Elena to her feet. You're coming with me. I need you where I can see you. Elena nodded numbly. They got back in the car and sped south, sirens blaring now. Elena stared out the window, watching the city blur past. Her mind was replaying the footage over and over. The body, the tarp, Lucian's hand hanging limp. She should have stayed at the safe house, should have trusted him to handle it. But she'd run, and now everything was falling apart. The stockyards appeared ahead, abandoned buildings, rusted fences, the smell of old blood still clinging to the air. Reyes pulled in behind a line of police cars. Tactical teams were already surrounding a warehouse. Stay in the car, Reyes said. No. Elena, I'm not staying in the car. If Lucian's in there, I need to see him. Reyes's jaw tightened. Fine, but you stay behind me. Understood? Elena nodded. They got out and moved toward the warehouse. The tactical team breached the door, shouting commands. Elena followed Reyes inside, her heart hammering. The warehouse was empty, just concrete floors and rusted metal beams, no furniture, no vehicles, no body. Reyes swore under her breath. Where the hell did they go? An agent jogged over. We found tire tracks. Looks like they switched vehicles. Get me traffic cams. Find that second vehicle. The agent ran off. Elena stood in the middle of the empty warehouse, her chest tight. They're gone. We'll find them. No, you won't. Donati's too smart. He's already 3 steps ahead. Reyes turned to face her. Then we make him come to us. How? Reyes's expression was grim. We use the one thing he wants. Elena's stomach dropped. Me. You and the files. If we leak that we have evidence tying him to Brennan Capital, he'll have to move. He'll have to tie up loose ends. And I'm a loose end. Yes, Elena's hands shook. So you want to use me as bait? Again. It's the only way. And if it doesn't work, if he kills me before you can stop him. Reyes was silent for a long moment. Then she said, I won't let that happen. Elena wanted to believe her, wanted to trust that the FBI could protect her, but Lucian had trusted them too, and now he was gone. Okay, she said quietly. What do I need to do? They set it up fast. Reyes had Elena record a video, a message to Donati claiming she had the files and was willing to trade them for Lucian's life. They leaked it to the press, to social media, to every channel Donati might be watching. Within 2 hours, Donati's lawyer called. Victor Kane's voice was smooth, professional. My client is willing to negotiate, but he has conditions. Reyes put the call on speaker. I'm listening. Miss Voss comes alone. No FBI, no police, no wires. Not happening. Then Mr. Moretti dies. Elena's breath caught. He's alive? Kane's pause was deliberate. For now. Reyes leaned forward. Where's the meet? Navy Pier. Midnight. Miss Voss brings the files. My client brings Moretti. They make the exchange, and everyone walks away. And if we don't agree? Then you'll find Mr. Moretti's body in the Chicago River tomorrow morning. The line went dead. Reyes slammed her hand on the table. Son of a bitch! Elena stood, pacing. I have to go. No. He's alive. Lucian's alive, and if I don't go, Donati will kill him. It's a trap. I know. But what choice do I have? Reyes's expression was hard. We go in with a team, tactical, snipers. We cover every angle. And if Donati sees them, if he thinks I'm not alone, then we adapt. Elena shook her head. No, I go alone. Elena, I'm not losing him. Her voice broke. I'm not losing anyone else. Reyes stared at her. Then slowly, she nodded. Okay, but you wear a wire. And we have agents positioned around the pier. If anything goes wrong, we move in. Elena swallowed hard. Okay. Zack. Navy Pier at midnight was a different world. The tourists were gone. The rides were dark. The only sound was the water lapping against the pilings and the distant hum of the city. Elena walked slowly down the pier, the USB drive in her jacket pocket, the wire taped to her chest. Reyes and her team were somewhere in the shadows, watching, but Elena felt completely alone. At the end of the pier, a figure waited. Not Donati. Someone else. A man in a dark suit, hands in his pockets. Elena stopped 10 feet away. Where's Donati? The man smiled. He's coming. But first, we need to make sure you're alone. He pulled out a device, a scanner. He swept it over her, slow and deliberate. The scanner beeped when it passed over her chest. Wire, the man said. Elena's stomach dropped. The man pulled a gun. Take it off. Elena's hands shook. Now. She reached under her shirt and ripped the wire off. It came away with a strip of tape, leaving her skin red and raw. She dropped it on the ground. The man crushed it under his heel. The files, he said. Elena pulled out the USB drive. Where's Lucian? Mr. Donati will be here shortly, but first he wants to make sure the files are real. He held out his hand. Elena hesitated. If she gave him the drive, she had no leverage. But if she didn't, Lucian would die. She handed it over. The man plugged it into a laptop that had been sitting on a nearby bench. He clicked through the files, his expression unreadable. After a minute, he nodded. They're real. A car pulled up at the base of the pier. The door opened and 2 men got out. They pulled someone from the back seat, a man, hands bound, head covered with a hood. Lucian. Elena's breath caught. He was alive. Bloodied, limping, but alive. The men dragged him down the pier and shoved him to his knees 10 feet from Elena. One of them pulled off the hood. Lucian's face was bruised, his lips split, but his eyes were clear, focused. When he saw Elena, his expression hardened. What the hell are you doing here? He rasped. Saving you. You shouldn't have come. Too late. Another car pulled up. The door opened and Vincent Donati stepped out. He was older than Elena expected. 60s, silver hair, a face that looked like it had been carved from stone. He walked slowly down the pier, his hands clasped behind his back. Miss Voss, he said. His voice was calm, almost pleasant. Thank you for coming. Elena's hands shook. Let him go. Donati smiled. Of course. That was the deal, wasn't it? He gestured to his men. Cut him loose. One of the men pulled out a knife and cut the ropes binding Lucian's hands. Lucian stood slowly, his movements stiff. Now the files, Donati said. The man with the laptop handed the USB drive to Donati. He held it up, studying it in the dim light. You've caused me quite a bit of trouble, Ms. Voss, Donati said. Breaking into Brennan Capital, stealing files, involving the FBI. I didn't have a choice. There's always a choice. Donati slipped the drive into his pocket. The question is whether you choose wisely. He turned to Lucian. Mr. Moretti, you've been a thorn in my side for years, always interfering, always thinking you're smarter than everyone else. Lucian didn't respond. His eyes were locked on Donati, cold and hard. But you made a mistake, Donati continued. You thought you could protect her. You thought you could keep her safe from me. But the truth is, you can't protect anyone. Not from me. Lucian's jaw tightened. Let her go. Why would I do that? She knows too much. And knowledge, Mr. Moretti, is dangerous. She gave you the files. That was the deal. The deal, Donati said slowly, was that I wouldn't kill you. I never said anything about her. Elena's blood went cold. Donati pulled a gun from his jacket. He aimed it at Elena. Wait, Lucian said, his voice sharp. You want me dead? Fine. Kill me. But let her go. Donati's smile was cold. Noble, but pointless. He pulled the trigger. The shot echoed across the water. But Elena didn't fall. Lucian did. He'd thrown himself in front of her, taking the bullet meant for her chest. He hit the ground hard, blood spreading across his shirt. No! Elena screamed. She dropped to her knees beside him, pressing her hands to the wound. Blood seeped through her fingers, hot and thick. Lucian's eyes were wide, his breathing shallow. Run, he gasped. I'm not leaving you. Elena. Donati aimed the gun again, and then the world exploded. Gunfire erupted from all sides. FBI agents swarmed the pier, shouting commands. Donati's men scattered, returning fire. Bullets ricocheted off metal, shattered wood. Reyes appeared beside Elena, grabbing her arm. Get down! Elena stayed on the ground, her hand still pressed to Lucian's chest. His eyes were starting to close. Stay with me, she whispered. Please, stay with me. Lucian's hand found hers. His grip was weak. I'm sorry. Don't you dare! His eyes closed, and Elena's world went dark. The gunfire was deafening. Elena couldn't hear her own screaming over the crack of bullets tearing through the air, splintering wood, punching holes in metal. She pressed her hands harder against Lucian's chest, feeling his blood pulse hot and thick between her fingers. His eyes had closed. His face had gone pale. No, 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 she gasped. Lucian, stay with me, please. Reyes grabbed her shoulder, trying to pull her back. We need to move. I'm not leaving him. You'll die if you stay here. A bullet whined past Elena's head, so close she felt the air split. She ducked instinctively, her body curling over Lucian's. More shots. More shouting. The pier was chaos. Donati's men firing from behind cover. FBI agents advancing in tactical formation. Muzzle flashes lighting up the darkness like lightning. Reyes yanked Elena backward with both hands, dragging her behind a concrete pillar. Two agents grabbed Lucian under the arms and hauled him after them. His head lolled. Blood smeared across the pier. Medic! Reyes screamed into her radio. I need a medic on the pier now! Elena's hands were shaking so hard she couldn't control them. Blood covered her palms, her wrists, soaking into the sleeves of her jacket. She stared at it, her mind blank with shock. An agent pressed a hand to Lucian's chest, applying pressure. Entry wound, no exit, bullets still in there. Lucian's eyes fluttered open. His breath came in shallow gasps. Elena, he rasped. She crawled to him, ignoring Reyes's shout to stay down. I'm here, I'm right here. You should have run. Shut up, save your strength. Stubborn. His mouth curved slightly, a ghost of a smile. Then his eyes rolled back. Lucian! Elena grabbed his face, shaking him. No, don't you dare, don't you fucking dare! The agent checking his pulse looked up at Reyes. He's crashing. We need to move him now. Reyes spoke into her radio again. Where's that ambulance? 2 minutes out. We don't have 2 minutes. Another burst of gunfire. Closer this time. Elena looked up and saw Donati retreating toward a black SUV at the base of the pier, his men covering him. He moved calmly, deliberately, like this was just another Tuesday. Something snapped inside Elena. She lunged for the agent's holster, yanking his sidearm free before he could react. Hey! The agent grabbed for it, but Elena was already moving. She stood and ran toward Donati, the gun heavy in her hands. Bullets kicked up splinters around her feet. Someone was screaming her name, Reyes maybe, but the sound was distant, underwater. Donati saw her coming. He paused, one hand on the SUV door, his expression almost curious. Elena raised the gun with both hands, aiming for his chest. Her arms shook. Her vision blurred with tears and rage. You shot him, she said. Her voice was raw. You shot him. Donati's mouth curved. And you're going to shoot me? With no training, shaking hands, barely able to stand? Try me. Ms. Voss. Donati's tone was almost gentle. Put the gun down. You're not a killer. You don't know what I am. I know you're terrified. I know you've never held a gun before tonight. And I know that if you pull that trigger, you'll miss. And then my men will kill you. Elena's finger trembled on the trigger. Maybe, but I'll die knowing I tried. Donati studied her for a long moment. Then he smiled, slow, cold. Admirable. Foolish, but admirable. He started to turn away. Elena fired. The recoil slammed through her arms, nearly knocking her backward. The shot went wide, punching through the SUV's window. Glass exploded. Donati spun back, his expression dark now. Big mistake. He pulled his own gun. And then Reyes was there, tackling Elena to the ground. The concrete slammed into Elena's shoulder, knocking the air from her lungs. Reyes's gun fired 3 times, controlled, precise. One of Donati's men dropped. Another stumbled back, clutching his leg. Get her out of here, Reyes shouted. 2 agents grabbed Elena, dragging her back toward the cover of the pillar. She fought them, twisting, trying to see Donati. But he was already in the SUV, the door slamming shut. The vehicle's tires screeched as it peeled away, disappearing into the night. Elena sagged in the agent's grip, all the fight draining out of her. Her hands were still shaking. The gun had fallen somewhere. She couldn't remember dropping it. Reyes appeared in front of her, her face tight with fury. What the hell were you thinking? Elena couldn't answer. Her throat was too tight. You could have been killed. You could have... Reyes stopped, closing her eyes. When she opened them again, some of the anger had faded. Don't ever do that again. Is he alive? Elena whispered. Lucien, is he... Ambulance is here. They're loading him now. Elena turned and saw paramedics lifting a stretcher. Lucien's face was covered with an oxygen mask. His eyes were closed. One of the paramedics was doing chest compressions. Elena's legs gave out. She would have hit the ground if Reyes hadn't caught her. Come on, Reyes said. We're going to the hospital. Northwestern Memorial's emergency room was bright and cold and smelled like disinfectant. Elena sat in a plastic chair staring at the blood on her hands. She'd washed them twice in the bathroom sink, but the stain wouldn't come out. It had dried under her fingernails, in the creases of her palms. Reyes sat beside her, talking on her phone. Her voice was low, clipped. I don't care what it takes. Find Donati. Put out an APB. Contact every informant we have. I want him found tonight. She hung up and turned to Elena. How are you holding up? Elena didn't answer. A doctor emerged from the double doors, still in surgical scrubs. Reyes stood. Elena tried to stand too, but her legs wouldn't cooperate. Agent Reyes, the doctor said. Yes, this is Elena Voss. She's... Reyes hesitated. She's family, the doctor nodded. Mr. Moretti is out of surgery. We removed the bullet. It nicked his left lung and came dangerously close to his heart. He lost a lot of blood. Elena's chest tightened. Is he going to make it? The doctor's expression was carefully neutral. The next 48 hours are critical. If he makes it through that, his chances improve significantly. Can I see him? He's in the ICU. He's sedated and on a ventilator. You can see him, but only for a few minutes. Elena stood, forcing her legs to hold her weight. Reyes put a hand on her arm. I'll be right here. Elena followed the doctor through the double doors, down a hallway that seemed to stretch forever. The ICU was quiet except for the beeping of machines. The doctor stopped outside a glass-walled room. 5 minutes, she said. Elena stepped inside. Lucian looked small in the hospital bed, tubes and wires running from his body to machines that beeped and hissed. His chest rose and fell mechanically, the ventilator doing the work his lungs couldn't. His face was pale, bruised. His eyes were closed. Elena sank into the chair beside the bed. She reached out and took his hand. It was cold. I'm sorry, she whispered. I'm so sorry. This is all my fault. If you hadn't... Her voice broke. She pressed his hand to her forehead, tears streaming down her face. You have to wake up. You hear me? You have to wake up because I can't do this alone. I can't fight them alone. The machines beeped. The ventilator hissed. Lucian didn't move. Elena sat there until a nurse came and told her time was up. She stood slowly, reluctantly, and pressed a kiss to Lucian's forehead. Don't you dare die on me, she whispered. Then she walked out. Eek. Reyes was waiting in the hallway. We need to talk. Elena followed her to a small conference room. Inside, 2 other agents were setting up laptops and spreading files across the table. What's going on? Elena asked. Reyes gestured for her to sit. Donati escaped, but we found something interesting. She pulled up a photo on her laptop, security footage from Navy Pier, time-stamped from earlier tonight. The image showed Donati getting into the SUV, and in the passenger seat, visible for just a moment before the door closed, was Derek. Elena's stomach dropped. Derek was there? Looks like it, which means he and Donati are working together more closely than we thought. I don't understand. Derek's a financial analyst. He launders money. He's not a killer. Reyes pulled up another file. Derek Hale isn't his real name. He's Derek Hailstrom. Father was Richard Hailstrom, Donati's former accountant. Died in a car accident 10 years ago. Officially ruled accidental. Unofficially, we always suspected Donati had him killed. Elena's hands went cold. And Derek went to work for Donati shortly after. We think he blamed his father's death on someone in the organization and spent years working his way up, gaining Donati's trust. So Derek's been playing both sides? Looks like it. He helped us build a case against Donati, fed us information, but he was also working for Donati, laundering money through Brennan Capital. We think he was planning to take Donati down himself. Elena's head spun. And then I got involved. And you became leverage. Derek couldn't let you expose him, couldn't let you ruin his plan. So he escalated. Elena pressed her hands to her face. This is insane. He's insane. He's dangerous, Reyes corrected. And now that Donati knows the FBI has files linking him to Brennan Capital, he's going to move fast. He'll tie up loose ends. Which means he'll come after me. And Derek. Reyes leaned forward. Which is why we need to find them first. How? One of the other agents spoke up. We've been monitoring Derek's communications. He made a call an hour ago, to this number. He pulled up a phone record. It's registered to a shell company owned by Donati. The call lasted 3 minutes. We couldn't get the content, but the location pinged off a tower near O'Hare. Reyes stood. They're running, probably trying to get out of the country before we can arrest them. So we go to O'Hare? Elena said. We do. You stay here. No. Reyes's expression hardened. Elena, he shot Lucian because of me. He's been terrorizing me for 6 months. I'm not sitting in a hospital while you finish this. You're a civilian. You have no training. You just tried to shoot a crime boss with a gun you've never fired before. You're lucky you're not dead. I don't care. Elena stood, her voice rising. I'm done being afraid. I'm done hiding. Derek took everything from me. My peace. My safety. The man She stopped, her throat tight. I'm not letting him walk away. Reyes stared at her for a long moment. Then she sighed. You stay in the car. You don't engage. You don't do anything stupid. Fine. I mean it, Elena. If you pull another stunt like you did on the pier, I will have you arrested. Elena nodded. Understood. Yellet. The drive to O'Hare took 30 minutes. Reyes drove with her lights off, 3 unmarked cars following. Elena sat in the passenger seat staring out the window. The city blurred past, lights and shadows and people who had no idea what was happening. Her phone buzzed. She pulled it out, her heart sinking when she saw the message. Number: you should have stayed out of this, Elena. Now everyone you care about is going to die, starting with Moretti. Elena's hand shook. She showed the phone to Reyes. Reyes's jaw tightened. He's trying to scare you. It's working. Lucian's under guard at the hospital. Donati can't get to him. You said that about the safe house too, and about Navy Pier. Reyes didn't respond. Another message came through. Unknown number. Meet me. Alone. Terminal 5, Gate E7. You have 30 minutes, or I start killing people. Elena's breath caught. He wants me to meet him. Reyes grabbed the phone, reading the message. It's a trap. I know. Then you're not going. He said he'd start killing people. He's bluffing. What if he's not? Elena turned to face her. What if he's already at the hospital? What if he... We have agents at the hospital. Moretti is safe. You don't know that. Reyes pulled the car over, slamming it into park. She turned to Elena, her expression fierce. Listen to me. Derek is trying to isolate you, make you think you're alone, make you do something reckless. Don't fall for it. But what if... No. Reyes's voice was hard. We do this the right way. We go to Terminal 5. We set up a perimeter. And we take Derek down legally. Elena wanted to argue, wanted to scream. But Reyes was right. Derek had been controlling her for 6 months, making her doubt herself, making her afraid. She couldn't let him do it again. Okay, she said quietly. Reyes nodded and pulled back onto the road. O'Hare Airport at 2 a.m. was eerily quiet. Most of the terminals were closed, the gates dark. Reyes and her team moved through the corridors like ghosts, weapons drawn, clearing each area methodically. Elena stayed behind them, her heart hammering. Terminal 5 was the international terminal. High ceilings, rows of empty seats, departure boards showing canceled flights. Gate E7 was at the far end. Reyes held up a hand, signaling the team to stop. She spoke into her radio. We have eyes on the gate, no visible targets, moving in. They advanced slowly, covering each angle. Elena's pulse was so loud in her ears she could barely hear anything else. When they reached the gate, it was empty. No Derek, no Donati, just rows of plastic chairs and a darkened jetway. Reyes swore under her breath. He's not here. Elena's phone buzzed. She pulled it out with trembling hands. Unknown number. Did you really think I'd be that stupid? I'm watching you, Elena. I see Reyes, I see the agents, and I see you. Elena spun around, scanning the terminal. Shadows everywhere, empty corridors, 1,000 places to hide. Another message. Unknown. Number. You want to end this? Come alone, or I'll make sure Moretti never wakes up. Elena's blood went cold. Reyes was reading over her shoulder. He's bluffing. Call the hospital, Elena said. Check on Lucian. Reyes pulled out her radio. This is Reyes. I need a status update on the patient in ICU. Moretti. Now. Static. Then a voice crackled through. Agent Reyes, we have a situation. 2 men in hospital security uniforms entered the ICU 5 minutes ago. We tried to stop them, but they had credentials. By the time we realized the credentials were fake, they were already inside Moretti's room. Reyes's face went pale. Is he alive? We don't know. The room's locked from the inside. We're trying to breach now. Elena didn't wait. She turned and ran. Elena, stop! Reyes shouted. But Elena was already sprinting through the terminal, her lungs burning, her legs pumping. She burst through the exit doors into the parking garage, scanning for a car, any car. She saw a taxi idling near the curb. She yanked open the door and threw herself inside. Northwestern Memorial, she gasped. Now. I'll pay you triple. The driver's eyes widened. Lady, are you... Now. The driver hit the gas. Behind them, Reyes burst through the doors, shouting. But Elena didn't look back. Brett. The taxi screeched to a stop outside the emergency room. Elena threw a handful of bills at the driver and ran inside. Security tried to stop her, but she pushed past them, sprinting down the hallway toward the ICU. Agents were clustered outside Lucian's room, shouting into radios. The door was still closed. Elena shoved through them. What's happening? One of the agents turned. Ma'am, you need to... That's my... She stopped, not sure what to call Lucien. I need to see him. Is he alive? We're trying to breach the door. Whoever's inside barricaded it. Elena's heart hammered. She stepped closer to the door, pressing her ear against it. She could hear voices inside, low, muffled. One of them sounded like Derek. She pounded on the door. Derek, open the door! Silence. Then Derek's voice, cold and clear. Elena, I was wondering when you'd show up. Let me in. Why would I do that? Because if you hurt him, I swear to God, You'll what? Derek laughed. You'll shoot me? Like you tried to shoot Donati? You can't even hold a gun steady. Elena pressed her forehead against the door, trying to breathe. Please, Derek, don't do this. I tried to save you, Elena. I tried to bring you home. But you chose him, a criminal, a killer, over me. You hit me. You stalked me. I loved you. Derek's voice cracked. Everything I did because I loved you. That's not love. That's obsession. What's the difference? Elena closed her eyes. Let me see him. Let me see Lucien. And then you and I can talk, alone, just like you wanted. There was a long pause. Then the sound of something heavy being dragged away from the door. The lock clicked. The door opened. Derek stood in the doorway, a gun in his hand. His face was pale, his eyes wild. Behind him, Elena could see Lucien in the bed, still hooked up to machines, still unconscious, but alive. Come in, Derek said, alone. Elena stepped inside. The door closed behind her. Derek locked it again. Elena's gaze went to Lucien. His chest was still rising and falling with the ventilator. The machines beeped steadily, but his face was too pale, too still. He's still alive, Derek said. For now. Elena turned to face him. What do you want? Derek's laugh was bitter. I want you to understand. I want you to see that everything I did for you. You tried to kill me. No, I tried to save you from him. Derek gestured toward Lucien. He's poison, Elena. He's dragging you into a world you don't belong in, a world that will destroy you. And you think your world is better? Stalking, threatening, working for a crime boss? Derek's expression darkened. I'm taking Donati down. I've been working on it for years, building evidence, gaining his trust. And I was so close until you ruined everything. I didn't ruin anything. You did, the moment you wouldn't let me go. Derek stepped closer, the gun still in his hand. I can't let you go. Don't you see that? You're mine. You've always been mine. Elena's chest tightened. She could see it now, the obsession, the delusion, the twisted love that had consumed him. There was no reasoning with him, no reaching him. Put the gun down, she said quietly. No. Derek, please. This doesn't have to end badly. It already has. Derek's hand trembled. I lost everything. My cover, my plan, my chance to make things right. And it's all because of you. Then let me help you fix it. Derek laughed, sharp, broken. You can't fix this. No one can. He raised the gun, and then Lucien's eyes opened. It happened fast. Lucien's hand shot out, grabbing Derek's wrist. Derek gasped, trying to pull free. The gun fired, the shot deafening in the small room. The bullet punched through the ceiling. Elena screamed. Lucien yanked Derek closer, despite the tubes, despite the pain. His other hand came up, slamming into Derek's throat. Derek gagged, choking, dropping the gun. It clattered to the floor. Elena dove for it. Her fingers closed around the grip just as Derek kicked Lucien's bed. Lucien grunted, his face twisting in pain. The ventilator alarm shrieked. Derek lunged for the gun. Elena pulled the trigger. The shot was impossibly loud. Derek stumbled back, his eyes wide with shock. He looked down at his chest where blood was spreading across his white shirt. Elena, he whispered. Then he collapsed. The door burst open. Agents flooded in, weapons drawn. Reyes was shouting. Someone was pulling Elena back, prying the gun from her hands, but Elena couldn't hear any of it. She was staring at Derek's body on the floor, at the blood pooling beneath him, at his eyes staring sightlessly at the ceiling. She'd killed him. She'd actually killed him. Her legs gave out. Someone caught her. Voices swirled around her. Are you hurt? Are you okay? Did he touch you? She couldn't answer. All she could see was Derek's face. All she could hear was the sound of the gunshot echoing in her skull. And then Lucian was reaching for her, his hand weak but steady. She grabbed it, holding on like it was the only thing keeping her from drowning. It's over, he rasped, his voice barely audible through the oxygen mask. Elena nodded, tears streaming down her face. It was over. But the cost, the blood on her hands, the life she'd taken, the weight of what she'd done, would stay with her forever. The aftermath was a blur. Paramedics checking Lucian, stabilizing him, agents securing the scene. Reyes pulling Elena into the hallway, wrapping a blanket around her shoulders, even though she wasn't cold. You did what you had to do, Reyes said quietly. Elena didn't respond. Derek was going to kill you. You acted in self-defense. No one's going to charge you. Elena looked up. What about Donati? Reyes' expression hardened. We're still looking, but he's not our priority right now. You are. I don't want to be anyone's priority. I just want this to be over. It is over. Derek's dead. The files we recovered from Brennan Capital are being used to build a case against Donati. He's going to prison. And if he doesn't, if he gets away, he won't. Elena wanted to believe her, but she'd heard promises before. From Lucian, from Reyes, from Derek, back when she'd still loved him. Promises meant nothing. Only survival mattered. I want to see Lucian, she said. Reyes nodded. Come on. They walked back to the ICU. Lucian had been moved to a new room, cleaner, quieter. The ventilator was gone. He was breathing on his own now, an oxygen cannula in his nose. His eyes were open. When he saw Elena, his expression softened. She crossed to his bed and sat down in the chair beside him. You're awake. Barely. His voice was hoarse. What happened? Derek's dead. I shot him. Lucian's eyes searched hers. Are you okay? Elena's laugh was shaky. No, but I'm alive. That's what matters. She took his hand, lacing her fingers through his. You saved my life. Again. You saved mine first. They sat in silence for a long moment. Outside, dawn was breaking, pale light creeping across the sky, pushing back the darkness. What happens now? Elena asked. Lucian's grip tightened on her hand. We finish this. We take Donati down. And then? And then? And then we figure out what comes next. Elena nodded. She didn't know what came next. Didn't know if she could ever feel safe again. But for the first time in 6 months, she wasn't running. She was standing still. And that somehow felt like victory. But even as the thought formed, her phone buzzed. She pulled it out, her stomach sinking. In no number, Derek was weak. But I'm not. You took something from me, Ms. Voss, and I always collect what I'm owed. The message was from Donati. Elena's hands started shaking again. It wasn't over. It would never be over. Not until one of them was dead. Elena stared at the message until the screen went dark. Her hands had stopped shaking. That was the strangest part. Somewhere between Derek's body hitting the floor and Donati's threat appearing on her phone, the trembling had stopped. She felt hollow, empty, like something essential had been carved out of her chest and left a cavity where her fear used to live. Lucian was watching her. His breathing was still labored, his face pale against the white hospital pillowcase. What is it? She showed him the phone, his jaw tightened. He's trying to scare you. It's working. No, it's not. Lucian's voice was hoarse but firm. If it was working, you'd be running. You'd be on a plane to somewhere Donati can't find you, but you're still here. Elena set the phone down on the bedside table. I'm here because I don't know where else to go. That's not true. She looked at him, really looked at him. The bruises on his face were turning purple. Dried blood crusted the corner of his mouth. He'd taken a bullet meant for her, ripped out his IV to save her from Derek, and he was still lying there telling her she was stronger than she felt. You almost died, she said quietly. But I didn't. You could have. So could you, multiple times, but you're still breathing. Elena sat down in the chair beside his bed. The vinyl creaked under her weight. Outside the window, the city was waking up, cars honking, sirens wailing, the distant rumble of the train. A whole world of people who had no idea that last night a woman had killed a man and felt nothing afterward except the terrible weight of relief. "I shot him," she said. I looked Derek in the eyes and I pulled the trigger. "To save me. To save yourself. Does that make it okay?" Lucian was quiet for a long moment. Then he said, "Nothing about this is okay, but you did what you had to do. And you're going to have to live with that. We both are." Elena pressed her hands to her face. Her palms still smelled like gunpowder. "How do you do it? How do you live with the things you've done?" "I don't sleep much." Lucian's mouth curved slightly, but there was no humor in it. "And I try to make sure the next thing I do is better than the last." Before Elena could respond, the door opened. Rhea stepped in, her expression grim. "We need to talk." Elena stood. "Did you find Donati?" "No, but we found something else." Reyes pulled out her phone and showed them a photo. It was security footage from O'Hare, time-stamped 2 hours ago. The image showed a man in a dark suit walking through the international terminal. Not Donati. Someone else. But Elena recognized him. One of the men who'd been with Donati at Navy Pier. "He boarded a flight to Mexico City," Reyes said. "We're trying to track it now, but we think Donati might already be out of the country." Lucian sat up straighter, wincing. "He's running." "Looks like it. The files from Brennan Capital were worse than we thought. We found evidence linking Donati to 3 murders, 2 kidnappings, and enough financial crimes to put him away for life. He knows we're closing in." Elena's chest tightened. "So he's just going to disappear? After everything he's done?" "Not if we move fast." Reyes looked at Lucian. "We need your help. You know how Donati operates, where he'd run, who he'd call." Lucian shook his head. "I can barely breathe. I'm not chasing him across the hemisphere." "I'm not asking you to chase him. I'm asking you to help us find him." "Why? You have the files. You have the evidence. Let him run. He's finished in Chicago." "He's not finished," Reyes said sharply. "As long as he's free, he's dangerous. He'll rebuild. He'll come back. And next time, he won't make the mistake of underestimating you." Lucian's expression darkened. "Then put out an international warrant. Alert Interpol. Do your job." "We are. But Donati has resources we don't. Money, connections, safe houses all over the world. If we want to catch him before he disappears completely, we need intel. And you have it." Elena stepped between them. "What about me? Am I just supposed to sit here and wait for Donati to send someone else after me? Another Derek? Another shooter?" Reyes turned to her. "You'll be in protective custody until we apprehend him." "For how long? Weeks? Months? Years?" "As long as it takes." Elena's laugh was bitter. "So I trade one prison for another." "It's not a prison, it's protection. It's the same thing." Elena crossed to the window, staring out at the city. "I've been running from Derek for 6 months, hiding, looking over my shoulder, and now you want me to do the same thing with Donati? It's temporary." "You don't know that." Elena turned back to face her. "What if you don't catch him? What if he stays hidden for years? Am I supposed to spend the rest of my life in a safe house?" Reyes's jaw tightened. "I understand your frustration." "No, you don't." Elena's voice rose. "You get to go home at night. You get to live your life." "I don't. I haven't had a life since the day I met Derek, and now you're telling me I still won't have one until Donati's caught. That's not protection. That's just another cage." The room fell silent. Lucian was watching Elena with an expression she couldn't read. Reyes's face was hard, unreadable. Finally, Reyes spoke. "What do you want me to do, Elena? Let you walk out of here unprotected? Let Donati's people find you?" "I want you to give me a choice." Elena's hands clenched into fists. "For the first time in my life, I want to make my own decision, not have it made for me." Reyes studied her for a long moment. Then she said, "Okay, your choice. What do you want to do?" "You?" Elena looked at Lucian. He was sitting up now, his expression fierce despite the pain etched into every line of his face. "Don't do anything stupid," he said quietly. "Too late for that." Elena turned back to Reyes. "I want to help you find Donati. I want to be part of taking him down." "Absolutely not." "Why?" "Because I'm not trained? Because I'm just a civilian. Because you killed someone last night, Reyes said bluntly. You're traumatized. You're exhausted. And you're in no condition to be part of an active investigation. Maybe not. But I'm the only one Donati wants. If you use me as bait, no. Lucian's voice was hard. We're not doing that again. Elena ignored him. If you use me as bait, you can draw him out. Make him come to you instead of chasing him around the world. Reyes shook her head. It's too dangerous. It's the only way. Elena stepped closer. You said it yourself. Donati has resources, money, connections. He could disappear tomorrow and you'd never find him. But if he thinks he can get to me, he'll take the risk. You know he will. Reyes was silent, her expression thoughtful. Then she looked at Lucian. What do you think? I think it's insane, Lucian said flatly. And I think if you let her do this, you're signing her death warrant. I'm not asking your permission, Elena said. I'm doing this whether you help me or not. Lucian's eyes blazed. Then you're a fool. Maybe, but I'm a fool who's tired of running. They stared at each other, the tension thick enough to choke on. Finally, Lucian looked away. Do what you want. You will anyway. Elena turned back to Reyes. So? Are you going to help me or not? Reyes was quiet for a long moment. Then she pulled out her phone and made a call. This is Reyes. I need a tactical team assembled. Full surveillance package. We're setting up a sting operation. She hung up and looked at Elena. You get one chance. If this goes sideways, if Donati gets anywhere near you, we pull you out. Understood? Elena nodded. Understood. Good. We move in 6 hours. Get some rest. You're going to need it. Reyes left. Elena sank back into the chair, her legs suddenly weak. Lucian was watching her, his expression unreadable. You don't have to do this, he said quietly. Yes, I do. Why? Elena looked at her hands. They were clean now. Someone had washed the blood off while she was being questioned, but she could still see it. Derek's blood, Lucian's blood, her own, from the cuts on her palms. Because I need to know it's over. Really over. Not just Derek gone, but Donati too. I need to know I'm safe, that I can go home and sleep without a gun under my pillow. Lucian reached out and took her hand. His grip was weak but steady. You're the bravest person I've ever met. Elena's throat tightened. I don't feel brave. You don't have to feel it. You just have to do it. She squeezed his hand. Don't die while I'm gone. Wasn't planning on it. Elena stood and crossed to the door. She paused, looking back. Lucian? Yeah? Thank you for everything. He nodded. Don't thank me yet. Thank me when this is over. The plan was simple. Too simple. Elena would return to her old apartment, the one Derek had found 3 times, the one she'd abandoned months ago. Reyes's team would wire the place with cameras and microphones, position snipers on the rooftops, and wait for Donati to make his move. Elena stood outside the building, staring up at the 4th floor window. She hadn't been back since the night she'd packed a bag and run. The curtains were still closed. The window was dark. Reyes appeared beside her. You ready? Elena nodded, even though she wasn't. They went inside. The hallway smelled like mildew and old coffee. Elena's footsteps echoed on the worn carpet. She stopped outside her door. The lock had been changed. The landlord must have done it after she left. But Reyes had a key. The door swung open. The apartment looked exactly the same. Her couch, her books, the mug she'd left in the sink the morning she ran. It was like stepping into a time capsule, a version of her life that belonged to someone else now. Reyes's team moved through the space quickly, setting up cameras in the corners, microphones in the lamps. An agent handed Elena a small device, an earpiece. We'll be listening the whole time, Reyes said. If anything goes wrong, say the code word. We'll come in immediately. What's the code word? Mayday. Elena slipped the earpiece in. How long do you think it'll take? Hard to say. Could be hours. Could be days. Donati's smart. He'll want to make sure it's not a trap. It is a trap. He doesn't know that. Reyes put a hand on Elena's shoulder. You don't have to do this. It's not too late to change your mind. Elena shook her head. I'm done changing my mind. Let's finish this. Reyes nodded and left with her team. The door closed, and suddenly Elena was alone. She walked slowly through the apartment, touching things. The back of the couch, the edge of the bookshelf, the kitchen counter. This had been her home once, her safe place. And Derek had ruined it, had made her afraid to exist in her own space. She sat down on the couch and waited. Mum. The first hour was the hardest. Elena kept expecting Donati to burst through the door, gun drawn. But nothing happened. The apartment was silent except for the hum of the refrigerator and the distant sound of traffic. She tried to read a book but couldn't focus. Tried to watch TV but the noise felt wrong. Finally, she just sat there, staring at the door. At hour 3, her phone buzzed. She grabbed it, her heart racing. No number. I know what you're doing. Elena's breath caught. She typed back quickly. Then come and get me. Unknown. Number. You think I'm stupid enough to walk into an FBI trap? You think I'm stupid enough to sit here alone? Unknown. Number. Yes, because you want this to end as much as I do. Elena's hands tightened on the phone. What do you want, Donati? Unknown number. I want what you took from me. The files, the evidence, everything. I don't have them. The FBI does. Unknown number. Then get them back. How? Unknown number. That's your problem. You have 24 hours, or I start killing people you care about. Elena's chest tightened. I don't care about anyone. Unknown. Number. Don't you? What about Moretti? Her blood went cold. Unknown number. He's still in the hospital, still weak, still vulnerable. It would be so easy to finish what Derek started. Elena stood, pacing across the room. Reyes was listening to all of this. Her team would already be moving to increase security at the hospital. But Donati was right. Lucian was vulnerable. And if Donati wanted him dead, there were 100 ways to make it happen. Leave him alone, she typed. Unknown number. Then give me what I want. I told you. I don't have the files. I have the unknown number. You have access. You're working with the FBI. Get them back. Destroy them, and I'll disappear. You'll never see me again. Elena's mind raced. It was a lie. Donati wouldn't just disappear. He'd kill her the second she handed over the files. But if she could keep him talking, keep him engaged, maybe Reyes could trace the messages, find out where he was. How do I know you'll keep your word? She typed. Unknown number. You don't. But you don't have a choice. The phone went silent. Elena looked up at the camera in the corner. She knew Reyes was watching, knew the team was already working to trace the call. But Donati was too smart. He'd be using burner phones, VPNs, routing his messages through servers all over the world. The earpiece crackled. Reyes's voice came through, low and urgent. We couldn't trace it. He's bouncing the signal. Elena closed her eyes. So what do we do? We wait. He'll make a mistake eventually. And if he doesn't? If he goes after Lucian? We've doubled security at the hospital. Moretti's safe. You said that before. At the safe house. At Navy Pier. Reyes was silent. Elena sank back onto the couch, pressing her hands to her face. This was never going to end. Donati would keep coming, keep threatening, keep taking pieces of her life until there was nothing left. Unless she stopped him first. She stood and crossed to the window. Outside, the street was quiet. Normal. People walking their dogs. Kids riding bikes. A whole world that didn't know what was happening 4 floors up. Elena pulled out her phone and typed a message. I'll get you the files. But I want to meet in person. I want to see your face when this is over. She sent it before she could second-guess herself. The response came immediately. Unknown number, brave, stupid, but brave. Tomorrow night, Millennium Park, 10 p.m. Come alone. If I see FBI, Moretti dies. Elena's heart hammered. She looked up at the camera. Did you get that? Reyes's voice crackled through the earpiece. We got it, but you're not going. Yes, I am. Elena, he wants to meet in person. That means he's getting desperate. That means we can catch him. Or he'll kill you the second you show up. Maybe, but it's the only way to end this. There was a long pause. Then Reyes said, I'm coming to the apartment. We need to talk about this in person. 20 minutes later, Reyes was sitting on Elena's couch, her expression grim. This is a bad idea. I know. Millennium Park is a public space, cameras everywhere, witnesses. Donati won't risk exposing himself like that unless he's planning something. Or unless he's desperate enough to take the risk. Reyes shook her head. I don't like it. You don't have to like it. You just have to back me up. And if Donati sees my team, if he runs, he won't run. He's too arrogant. He thinks he's already won. Reyes studied her for a long moment. You've changed. You know that? Elena nodded. I had to. I'm not sure that's a good thing. It's the only thing. Reyes sighed and pulled out her phone. Okay, we'll set up surveillance around the park, snipers on the rooftops, undercover agents in the crowd. But if anything goes wrong, I say the code word, I know, no. Reyes's expression was hard. If anything goes wrong, you run. You don't wait for us. You don't try to be a hero. You just run. Understood? Elena nodded. Understood. Check. The next night, Elena stood at the edge of Millennium Park, staring at the Cloudgate sculpture. The bean. It gleamed in the darkness, reflecting the city lights back at itself in warped, distorted shapes. She could see herself in it, small, fragile, alone. It was 9:55 p.m. She'd come early to scope out the area. Reyes's team was invisible, hidden among the tourists and late-night joggers, but Elena knew they were there, watching, waiting. Her phone buzzed. Unknown number. I see you. Elena's pulse spiked. She scanned the crowd, but saw no one. Unknown. Number. Walk toward the Pritzker Pavilion. Alone. She started walking. The pavilion loomed ahead, steel ribbons twisting up toward the sky, the stage dark and empty. Her footsteps echoed on the pavement. When she reached the pavilion, a figure stepped out of the shadows. Vincent Donati. He looked older in person, tired, but his eyes were sharp, calculating. He was alone. No bodyguards. No backup. Ms. Voss, he said, you came. Elena stopped 10 feet away. I came. Now what? Donati smiled. Now we talk, like civilized people. There's nothing civilized about you. Perhaps not, but I'm here, and so are you. That counts for something. Elena's hands clenched at her sides. Where are the files? What files? Don't play games. You said if I got you the files, you'd leave me alone. Donati's smile widened. I lied. Elena's blood went cold. Did you really think I'd just disappear? Donati took a step closer. After everything you've done? After you destroyed my operation, turned the FBI against me, killed Derek? Derek was going to kill me. Derek was a fool, obsessed with you. I warned him it would be his downfall. Donati's expression darkened. But he was useful, and now he's dead. Because of you. Elena's jaw tightened. So what now? You kill me? Prove the FBI right? The FBI already knows I'm right, but they can't prove it. And by the time they get here, you'll be gone. Another tragic victim of Chicago's violence. He pulled a gun. Elena didn't move. You're wrong. About what? They're already here. Donati's expression flickered. He glanced around, scanning the shadows. And then Reyes stepped out from behind a pillar, gun drawn. FBI, drop the weapon. More agents emerged from the darkness, surrounding Donati on all sides. Red laser dots appeared on his chest, snipers from the rooftops. Donati looked at Elena, and for the first time she saw something like respect in his eyes. Well played. Drop the gun, Reyes repeated. Donati lowered the weapon slowly, but he didn't drop it. Instead, he aimed it at Elena. If I go down, he said, you're coming with me. Time slowed. Elena saw Donati's finger tighten on the trigger, saw the laser dots converge on his chest, saw Reyes shouting something she couldn't hear, and then a shot rang out. Not from Donati's gun. From somewhere else. Donati stumbled, his eyes wide with shock. He looked down at his chest where blood was spreading across his shirt. His gun clattered to the ground. He fell to his knees, then collapsed face first on the pavement. Elena spun around. Lucian stood at the edge of the pavilion, a rifle in his hands. His face was pale, his movements stiff. He shouldn't have been there. He should have been in the hospital, recovering, but he'd come anyway. Reyes ran to Donati, checking his pulse. She looked up and shook her head. He's gone. Elena's legs gave out. She sank to the ground, pressing her hands to her face. It was over. It was finally over. Lucian crossed to her slowly, leaning heavily on the rifle like a crutch. He sat down beside her, his breathing labored. You shouldn't be here, Elena said. Neither should you. How did you... Reyes told me the plan. I discharged myself from the hospital. You could have died. So could you. Lucian set the rifle down. I wasn't going to let that happen. Elena turned to face him. His eyes were bloodshot, his face drawn with pain, but he was smiling, just slightly. It's over, he said. Elena nodded. It's over. They sat there in silence, watching as Reyes's team secured the scene. Paramedics arrived. Forensic teams, the whole machinery of law enforcement grinding into motion. But for Elena, the world had gone quiet. For the first time in 6 months, she could breathe. 3 weeks later, Elena stood outside her apartment building, the same one she'd used as bait, the same one Derek had found 3 times. But it didn't feel the same anymore. She'd spent the past weeks giving statements to the FBI, meeting with lawyers, attending Derek's funeral from a distance. His family had blamed her, of course, called her a murderer, but the investigation had cleared her, self-defense, justifiable homicide. The words meant nothing. They didn't erase the memory of pulling the trigger, but they let her move forward. She climbed the stairs to the 4th floor and unlocked her door. Inside, the apartment was empty. She donated most of her furniture, packed the rest into storage. This wasn't home anymore. It was just a place she used to live. Her phone buzzed. Lucian's name appeared on the screen. You coming or not? Elena smiled and typed back. On my way. She locked the door behind her and walked out into the afternoon sun. Lucian was waiting outside in his car, still moving carefully, but stronger than he'd been. He'd been cleared by the FBI too. Donati's death ruled a justifiable intervention. But like Elena, the words didn't erase what he'd done. She climbed into the passenger seat. Where are we going? Somewhere that's not Chicago. That's specific. Lucian's mouth curved. I was thinking Montana or Wyoming, somewhere quiet. For how long? As long as it takes. Elena looked out the window as the city blurred past. She'd spent 6 months running from Derek, 3 weeks recovering from his death, and Donati's. She didn't know what came next. Didn't know if she'd ever feel normal again. But for the first time, the future didn't feel like a threat. It felt like a choice. Okay, she said quietly. Let's go. Lucian reached over and took her hand. His grip was steady, warm, real. And as they drove out of the city, leaving behind the blood and the fear and the ghosts of everything they'd lost, Elena felt something she hadn't felt in a long time. Hope. Not the fragile, desperate kind that shatters at the first sign of trouble, but the kind that's been tested, broken, and rebuilt from the ground up. The kind that survives. Meets. 6 months later, Elena sat on the porch of a cabin in Wyoming, watching the sun set over the mountains. The air was clean, cold, empty of sirens and shouting and the constant hum of the city. Lucian was inside, cooking dinner. She could hear him moving around, the clatter of pans, the low murmur of music from the radio. Her phone buzzed. She picked it up, expecting a message from Reyes. They'd stayed in touch, occasional check-ins to make sure Elena was okay. But it wasn't Reyes. It was a news alert. Brennan Capital executives indicted on federal charges. Evidence linked to deceased crime boss Vincent Donati leads to largest financial fraud case in Chicago history. Elena read the article slowly. Marcus Brennan, arrested. 3 senior analysts, charged with conspiracy and money laundering. The whole operation dismantled, brick by brick. It was over. Really, truly over. She set the phone down and leaned back in her chair. The mountains stretched out before her, endless and indifferent. The world kept turning. People kept living. And somewhere in Chicago, other women were probably running from other men like Derek. Other families were being destroyed by people like Donati. But Elena couldn't save them. She could barely save herself. The door opened behind her. Lucian stepped out, holding 2 mugs of coffee. He handed her one and sat down in the chair beside hers. "You okay?" he asked. Elena nodded. "Yeah, I think I am." They sat in silence, watching the sun sink below the horizon. The sky turned orange, then pink, then deep purple. Stars began to appear one by one until the whole sky was filled with light. "Do you ever regret it?" Lucian asked quietly. "Everything that happened?" Elena thought about it. About Derek's face when she pulled the trigger. About Donati's blood on the pavement. About the weeks of nightmares, the therapy sessions, the moments when she still woke up gasping for air. "No," she said finally. "I don't regret it. I hate what I had to do. But I don't regret surviving." Lucian nodded. "Good." Elena turned to look at him. His face was healing. The bruises faded, the cuts turned to scars. He'd probably carry them for the rest of his life, just like she'd carry hers. But scars meant you'd survived. And survival, Elena had learned, was its own kind of victory. "What about you?" she asked. "Do you regret it?" Lucian was quiet for a long moment. Then he said, "I regret a lot of things. The life I lived, the choices I made, but meeting you." He looked at her, his eyes clear. "That I don't regret." Elena's throat tightened. She reached over and took his hand, lacing her fingers through his. "Thank you," she said, "for everything." Lucian squeezed her hand. "You don't have to thank me." "Yes, I do. You saved my life. More than once. And you saved mine." They sat there as the stars came out. 2 people who'd been broken by violence and obsession and fear. Who'd fought their way through the darkness and come out the other side. Not unchanged, not unscathed, but alive. And in the end, Elena thought, that was all that mattered. The city had tried to destroy her. Derek had tried to break her. Donati had tried to kill her. But she was still here, still breathing, still choosing. And somewhere in the mountains of Wyoming, under a sky full of stars, Elena Voss finally understood what it meant to be free. Not free from fear, not free from pain, not free from the memories that would haunt her for the rest of her life, but free to decide what came next, free to build a future that belonged to her, free to live. And that, after everything she'd survived, after all the blood and the bullets and the broken pieces of the person she used to be, was enough. It was more than enough. It was everything. Bunches. Get talk. Epilogue. 2 years later, Elena sat in a small office in downtown Cheyenne, Wyoming. The sign on the door read, Voss Consulting, Survivor Advocacy and Safety Planning. The walls were covered with photos, women who'd escaped abusive relationships, who'd rebuilt their lives, who'd learned to stand on their own. Elena had become what Lucian had been for her, a lifeline for people who had nowhere else to turn. Her phone rang. She answered. Voss Consulting. A woman's voice, shaking, desperate. "I need help. My ex won't leave me alone. I've tried everything. The police won't listen. I don't know what to do." Elena leaned forward, her expression calm, professional. "Okay, I'm listening. Tell me everything." As the woman talked, Elena took notes. She knew this story. She'd lived this story, and she knew exactly how to help, because she'd survived. And survival, she'd learned, was only the beginning. The real work, the rebuilding, the healing, the choosing to keep going even when every part of you wanted to give up, that came after. And Elena Voss was just getting started.